One day a drunk ice fisherman drilled a hole in the ice and looked into the hole. A loud voice from above said, "There are no fish down there." He walked several yards away and drilled another hole and peered into the hole again, and a voice said, "There's no fish down there." He then walked about 50 yards away, drilled another hole, and again the voice said, "I'm telling you, there's no fish down there." He looked up to the sky and said, "God, is that you?" The voice said, "No, you idiot. I'm the rink manager." I love that one. It's a good one.
But it's different from the rest of the thunder. Others in the area report similar phenomena.
Well, wait, what's that word?
What? Phenomena?
Do-do-do-do-do.
Phenomena.
Do-do-do-do.
Phenomena.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And you may continue.
0. All engine running.
In 3, 2, 1. Happy solstice, Lisa. Yeah, Stan's definitely an alien. Thanks, Scott. Merry Christmas, St. Louis.
This one goes out to the first fish in space. Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. Ground control to Major Tom. 7, 6. Commencing countdown, engines on. 3, 2. Check ignition and may God's love be with you. Oh, here we go, baby! To the moon! This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade. And the papers want to know whose shirt you wear. Now it's time to leave the capsule if you dare. This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in the most peculiar way. And the stars look very different today. For here am I sitting in a tin can, far above the world. Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do. Doop, 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 ba-doo, doo, doo-ba-doo, ba-doo, ba-doo, doo. This is Hecklevish at the Pork Chop Express, and I'm talking to whoever's listening out there. It's like I told my last wife. I says, honey, I never drive faster than I can see. Besides that, it's all in the reflexes. You just listen to the Pork Chop Express and take his advice on a dark and stormy night, all right? When some wild-eyed, 8-foot-tall maniac grabs your neck, taps the back of your favorite head up against the barroom wall, and he looks you crooked in the eye and he asks you if you paid your dues. Well, you just stare that big sucker back in the eye and remember what old Hecklefish always says at a time like that. Have you paid your dues, fish? Yes, sir, the check is in the mail. Well, you see, I'm not saying that I've been everywhere and I've done everything, but I do know it's a pretty amazing planet we live on here, and a man would have to be some kind of fool to think we're all alone in this universe. Omakase!
Crap.
Fear the crab cat.
Yeah, I know. Fear the crab cat.
Okay, I won. Now we get to do the bit.
I really don't want to do it.
We had a deal. Ferengi Rule of Acquisition 16 says...
A deal is a deal. I know. You don't have to quote the rules of acquisition for me.
Grab your sweater. It's showtime.
Crap.
Oh, are you the new butler human?
It's been a long time since I've been the new anything.
Oh, I'm Hecklefish. I live down the road. Oh, you're the human from America.
News sure travels fast, doesn't it?
Pleased to meet you. Oh, you're the one that sings, right?
Well, right or wrong, look, I don't want to do this. I feel stupid. This sweater is ridiculous.
A deal is a deal. Do it.
Fine.
Oh, by the way, those sweaters are available in the Wi-Fi store.
Are we plugging merch or doing this stupid bit?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Hang on. Where are we? Okay, got it. Oh, you're the one that sings, right?
Well, right or wrong, I sing anyway.
I sing too.
Oh, good. What kind of singing?
Mostly contemporary stuff. Do you like modern music?
Oh, I think it's marvelous. Some of it really, really fine. But tell me, do you ever listen to any of the older fellas?
Oh, sure. I like David Bowie and Bananarama.
Ooh, you go back that far, huh?
Yeah, I'm not as young as I look, eh?
Well, none of us is these days.
Yeah, in fact, I have a 6-year-old guppy. Look at this here. This song is my guppy.
The After Files is streamed in front of a live audience.
Philippians in Area 51, a secret code inside the Bible said I would. I love my UFOs and paranormal fun, as well as music, so I'm singing it like I should. But then another conspiracy theory becomes the truth, my friends, and it never ends. No, it never ends. I fear the crap cat and got stuck inside Mel's home with MK Ultra, being only too aware. Did Stanley Kubrick fake the moon landing alone on a film set, or were the shadow people there? The Roswell aliens just fought the smiling man, I'm told, and his name was Cold. I can't believe I'm dancing with the fish. Headfish on Thursday nights, Wednesday J2, and the Wi-Fi will be off through the night. All I ever wanted was to just hear the truth, so the Wi-Fi will be off through the night. The Mothman sightings and the solar storm still come to Agatha, the secret city underground. Mysterious number stations, planets Earth 02, Project Stargate, and what the Dark Watchers found. We're in a simulation, don't you worry though. The Black Knight satellite, it told me so. I can't believe I'm dancing with the fish. Headfish on Thursday nights, Wednesday J2, and the Wi-Fi will be on through the night. All I ever wanted was to just hear the truth, so the Wi-Fi will be on through the night. Headfish on Thursday nights, Wednesday J2, and the Wi-Fi will be on through the night. All I ever wanted was to just hear the truth, so the Wi-Fi will be on through the night. Cutie loves to dance. Cutie loves to dance on the dance floor because she is a camel, and camels love to dance when the feeling is right, always in time. Cutie loves to dance. Cutie loves to
Okay, that looks like that's good. How's this sound? We're sounding good down there? All right, how's everybody doing? It's Christmas time. I am going to be here. I'll be here Christmas Day, hanging out. If you're lonely or you're trying to escape the family, I will be here. I don't know who else will be here. Jen might be here. She's nodding her head. She's down there. The producers are on deck. Happy holidays, Bing Bong. Jen W saying nice sweater. It's not as itchy as it looks. It's actually it's not so bad. And yes, those are available in the Waffle House store. Merry Christmas, Rinse. There's Terry Jones. Evening, AJ. What's with the red glasses? Terry, new to the live stream. I have a super bright light in my face. So the amber lens helps me see, and then they have a magnification in it, so I'm not doing this. That's the first live stream. It's just a lot of this. There's Beta Pup. Merry Christmas to you. Mary from Paris. Good to see you. Thorny's here. There's Bob Ellett, Chris, Devious and Complicated. That guy's me is here. Keisha, Terry Misner's there. Steven, Indy, Intergalactic Angler, Dan Bonnet. Hey, Pluto. So I think we're just going to do a little watch along today. We'll read some super chats. We'll bring up the gang. And the winner of the poll looks like it's going to be the Emerald Tablet of Atlantis. That's kind of a fun one. There are a couple of super chats. I'll get those. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you can hear that.
Do I watch the After Files live stream or do I punch myself in the face? Tough decision.
There's Susan with the $4.99 super sticker. Thank you, Susan, and Merry Christmas. Elser likes the sweater look, huh? Matthew Walters, you're very kind. Enjoys the videos. Tank Hitman saying Merry Christmas. BW Goslin likes the videos. Stebbins come to us from Stockholm. Very cool. Merry Christmas, Ghost. Merry Christmas from Australia. It looks like we've got a lot of time zones covered. A lot of time zones covered. From the high desert. Yeah, we're all over the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this fine world of ours. Maybe we'll do an Art Bell tribute soon. There's Carol Williamson for 5. I got my new Wi-Fi's hoodie today. We're doing Send a Pic. We're doing Send a Pic. All right, hang on. I'll show you where doing. Let me get there. Hang on. No one's patient around the holidays. My wife is definitely not patient around the holidays. She wants to open presents really right after Thanksgiving. She's good to go. Did that work? All right. TheWiFiles.com. This is where to send the picture. And up here, you've got the Wi-Files in the wild. That's everybody. That's all y'all. So at the end of every episode, this is what, I can't even take the guppies. I can't even take it. So at the end of every episode, your picture goes up there. So that's where you go, Carol. Go to wifiles.com and click in the wild, and then you'll see we should make this a little bit more obvious. Submit your pic here. And then you got a little form, and you can send the file over. There are some that are they're just so good. Is that RFK Jr.? Is he a fan of the show? Just amazing. All right, so that's where you go do that. Rob, thank you for the $10. I appreciate you as well, my friend.
Oh, thank you for the tip. I'm saving up to build a bunker to protect me from the lizard people. They're coming to get you.
They are coming to get you. There's Mr. Schmecker for £1.99. I appreciate that. Inked Baker's coming to us from Vermont. Good to see you. Hello from Belgium, says William Jurgen. 6 a.m. in Brisbane. Jay Bravo coming from Florida. Tim Starr, no show tonight. It's team night off. So we're going to do a little live stream, and then Jen and I are going to go have a little Christmas dinner, and we're going to call her a day. She's down there, and she's excited. Cheapest big spender, always good to see you. Hecklefish sings Last Christmas or something wham For tips, priceless Merry Christmas, Y fam. That's a great idea. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart. This Christmas, you gave it away. Is that the one, Jen? He does something every year, so maybe next year it's going to be Wham. Lord Wishart, £5 Merry Christmas, AJ and team, and Merry Christmas to all in the chat. Actually able to watch live on the UK. Wahoo, you are my therapy. I appreciate that. And it's something that I hear a lot, is that especially during the holidays that the Y-Files is getting people through hard times. And I really appreciate you guys reaching out and saying that. It makes me feel like we're doing something instead of just being a weirdo talking to a fish about conspiracies. It's nice to know that we're touching so many people. That's important. And it's why we're here. And it's why I stream on the holidays when I can. You know, we're going to do New Year's Eve as well. We'll be here. At least Jen and I will be here. We'll watch the ball drop with you. So, I know what it's like to be alone on the holidays. I know how hard that could be. I know what it's like to lose someone close around this time and you're missing them. I know what that's like. So if we can bring just a couple of smiles to you during those days, it means a lot to us. And sometimes, like for Thanksgiving, we just left the camera running and let everyone just kind of hang out and watch us eat turkey and drink whiskey and do all of that. And judging by the emails and the comments that I got, we touched a lot of people, so that's important. Thanks, Blood Man. I appreciate that. Enoch says that I'm touching him. I hope we're keeping that above the belt there, Enoch. Stefan, you're very welcome. Alone in Utah. You're not alone as long as you're here. We're all part of one big weird family here. Mike Clark, first super chat ever. Appreciate that. There is Lily Lamore. Monday was my birthday. Can I get a happy belated birthday from AJ and Hecklefish, please? Happy birthday. Can you? I don't think he's ready to sing. He'll be ready to sing next week, Lily, if you just remind me. Johnny Shabazz, I appreciate the $20.
Ooka chaka, ooka, ooka, ooka chaka, ooka, ooka. I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. Human, you just don't realize what your tips do to me. When you tip me, I can pay my bills and you make me tingle in my gills. Oh, your tips are amazing, and I think it's crazy that you send cash to me.
Johnny Shabazz for 20 Canadian. Thanks for the this watch along, AJ and team. You're very welcome. I wasn't sure if people would like these. But the feedback has been positive, and I'm happy to do it. All I need is Rocket and Groot now. I know I think of the same thing. Trooper. For the love of it, for 5, Merry Christmas, AJ, and 2024 blessings on another year of the Y-Files. Well, thank you very much. We're looking forward to 2024. 23 was weird. It was weird in a good way. Philosophers checking in from Albania. Rinse Windle's happy to be here. I'm glad you're here as well, my friend. The Plexus loves the watch along. School. I hope we have the audio working. Gino and I were working on that just before we went live. That's why we're late. You know, it wouldn't be a Y-Files live stream unless we had audio issues.
This live stream is so unprofessional. Really, what are you even doing?
Jeff Mueller, thank you for the $5. Appreciate that. That's very helpful and very generous of y'all. Russell York dropping big plugs in the chat, begging for hitting the like button. Hitting the like button is cool. It's helpful. What it does is it signals YouTube to let more people know that we're live. But you don't have to do that if you don't want to. You know, the people that are here right now are the ones who really want to be here. So hitting the button is great. But today is not about the algorithm. Today is just about hanging out and having fun. Brianna B for $5 is my favorite channel on YouTube. Love everything you do. I love to hear that. Iron O'Reilly says the audio sounds good. Good. That's good to hear. Thanksgiving was a mess. So you can rewatch the Thanksgiving stream. I don't know why you would want to, but you can rewatch it. I think the full stream is here on the main channel, but on the Wi-Fi's backstage, I cut out all the early mess that we had. But I did leave in Jen cooking deviled eggs, which turned out to be a popular segment. I don't know. Maybe she has a future as a cooking creator. She doesn't have a future in that. She doesn't. Did you see that? Did you see her face? Have you already told the story, Jenny, about how I almost got you on TV, the cooking show? You did tell it. You may have to tell it one more time, in case if there's one person in the chat who hasn't heard that story, she'll have to tell it again. There's Matt for £4.99. Merry Christmas from Yorkshire, UK. Love the show. Thanks, Matt. Very generous of you. I'm just checking at the main chat. We got slow mode on. Blue Eight thinks I look rad and ready for the holidays. Sweater's getting a little warm. I'll wait until we fire the video up. Getting a little mustache wet. It's warm, but it is more comfortable than it looks. When Jen first showed it to me, I was like, "What? That looks like a hair shirt. That looks like you would wear it for punishment." But it's actually not so bad. There's Brian Martin. Thank you for the super sticker. Peter Bell left the super sticker. Well, it's fun to get these super stickers in the old stocking. Everybody loves to get their stocking stuffed. There's X Monarch for $5. Thank you for that, and Merry Christmas to you. Chaos Engine is here. Good to see you. Victoria is saying, "Haha, Connie Morgan." Let me see what. I built Mel's hole in Minecraft, says Connie. I'd like to see that. Someone built it in Legos. I think I put it on our Instagram. It was amazing. Conky says, that's not Conky the doll, is it? I think Conky the doll was scary. We need more James Pond and Dr. Human. I think so too. And Jen will also be a Bond villain in that series. She will be playing Platypushy.
Yes. Yes, I will be.
You'll be playing who?
Platypussy.
Ellie, what are you doing? For 10, hi, White Files crew. Love your work and so glad I could catch live. This message, by the way, is astrally projected thanks to the Gateway Project. Well, that's cool. Now I feel a little violated, but I'm glad you got it to work. I'm just reading the real chat. Hello from Oklahoma says Splash. Sigma's there. Good to see you. Donald yelling Van Allen. We can have Jen explain the Van Allen belt a little bit later. That is fine. That's her speciality. April Woods is here. Doc Papadopoulos, Mel's Hole is an instant classic. It's one of my favorites. One of my favorite art belt stories. I'm just adjusting. All right, where are we at? There's Steph for 5. Thank you for that super sticker. And there's Don. I'm just going to say Don. Love your channel, but I appreciate the support, my friend. Real Mech Druid says you need a fat lizard villain for James Pond. That's a pretty good idea. Thorn, keep your hands off the Van Allen belt. Ollie's up from Yorkshire. Yeah, Yorkshire's in the house, Ollie. A couple of your mates are here. Time traveling Trump, says some guy. If I thought it wouldn't be super political, we would do the story because his uncle was, or his grandfather was in charge of the Tesla cleanup with the FBI. Jen's raising her hand. She'd like to talk, but it's not just time yet, Jennifer. But just hold that thought. The other money twin says hi from Sweden.
It's Dave Money's twin.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's the money twin.
Yes, I just wanted you to see that.
All right. Pafro. Is his name Pafro?
No idea. I don't think it's Pafro. That's probably just his screen name, but
Oh. Well, you hang on. I need to talk to you. You hang on a minute. All right, David Money, a good buddy of mine from LA, and his twin is here. There's Pafro. Crystal Cardozo, we love watching every week. You and the gang are appreciated for all you do. Well, I'm glad. First tries, no new episode today. Today is team day off. I'm finishing up our next episode, which is going to be on near-death experiences, which I hope you like. I think it's interesting. I have no idea how well it's going to do, how well it's going to perform. That P-hat alien saying "mo money, mo money," which is funny because Dave, his name is David Money. He's married to Maureen. Maureen's nickname is Mo. So she is Mo Money. And Maureen is awesome. She took a chance on me when I was just a wee lad trying to be a voiceover artist in LA, and she signed me. And I think technically, I don't know if Dave's watching. I think technically I'm still signed with Osbrink, which would be like 22 years. Cheers from Vicky's Rome 8. Thank you for the $10. Hello, Stephen Bodan. NZ Projects, you like the NDE stuff. Good. We get into, I think if you're into NDEs, we're going to cover all the people that you know. Raymond Moody, Dr. Sabom. I'll make sure that Michael Newton is in there. You know, I'm a fan of his, The Life Between Lives. George A. screaming Anunnaki. I'm dying to do the Anunnaki episode. It's just the same stories keep coming up every week. Every week we do the flood. The flood shows up every week. And so, which means you have to talk about the restarting of civilization, which connects directly to the Anunnaki. I feel like I'm saying it every week. Steve knows shouting out for DMT experiences. That's coming in short order as well in the next couple of weeks. We're going to get into psychedelics. We're trying to weave through the algorithm so it's not like a drug episode. And it's not going to be. I think it's going to be interesting. Baltic Sea anomaly. It could be interesting, but Leonard, there's not a whole episode on that. It looks like the Millennium Falcon underwater. Payne 1885, Flat Earth, please. It's hard to cover that one because YouTube will bury the video and nobody will see it because YouTube doesn't like. There are certain conspiracies YouTube really hates, and that's one of them. And I don't know how I could really, what would I really do? Because I'm not going to debunk it better than actual scientists, like Professor Dave. Whenever Flat Earth comes up, I always shout out Professor Dave's channel because he debunks Flat Earth, but he loses his temper when he does it, which when people lose their temper, I find it very entertaining. So he loses his mind. So yeah, it's fun to watch. You just want to. I'm just talking at YouTube, going, Dave, just easy. It's okay. You don't have to. I get the veins in his neck are coming out. So what if he believes it? Who cares? Fun secretive. Thank you for that super sticker. Steve Reeves says lizard people built the moon. Could be. Google FU play ad. Wardenclyffe Tower evacuation fund. Yeah, the Wardenclyffe Tower, that's he's talking about Tesla's tower on Long Island that was basically repoed. JP Morgan pulled all his funding and Tesla couldn't pay the rent. And he was on the verge, he said, of inventing wireless energy. I covered a lot of this, I think, in the Tesla pyramid video. So he claimed he was on the verge of inventing wireless energy. So he's telling JP Morgan, look, if you just keep my funding going, I can provide free energy to everyone on the planet. Free energy. But JP Morgan was like oil, steel, lumber. He was making a fortune creating copper wire for electricity and the new telegraph and telephones. He doesn't want to read the free unlimited energy. So, that's a conspiracy that Morgan pulled his funding because of that, but the timing kind of lines up because there are letters of Tesla begging. So the funding was pulled. Tesla couldn't pay the mortgage on Wardenclyffe, and it was demolished within a couple of years. There's even pictures of it. It's kind of sad of them tearing it down. Orion Born yelling Tartaria. So look, we have a Tartaria script. It's not strong enough. As this is something I've said on the live streams, the Tartaria story is a new one. So spoiler alert, it's not true. It's a very new urban legend, and it basically comes from really one person who you can find on YouTube and has sort of taken off from there. So when the team was researching it, because I wanted to do it, because a ton of people asked for it, and there are interesting parts of the story. So when the team was researching it, they're saying, we can't find, there's this mud flood, but we can't find what caused it or anything. I said, you're not going to find that because this urban legend isn't fully fleshed out yet. It's new. It's within just a few years, so you need a bunch of other YouTubers and the people who write wacky articles and people in the forums. You need them to start to add their own seasoning to the story, and eventually we'll get a reason why there was a mud flood. But for now, we don't have it. So, so that's why I think we're going to pass on it, unless I can pull that in with something else to make it a little bit of a stronger episode. So that request coming in from Orion Born. And if you think, Orion, if you think you have more information, then email us. I saw Bad Fisherman. AJ, you doing your own voice right now? Yeah, this is my voice. I mean, it's not my original voice. My original voice was the heavy Bronx accent. But they trained that out of me a long time ago. Mike Funt saying, if you like Journey of Souls, Dolores Cannon has a lot of work into that. I didn't know that. I'm going to write that down because I do. That's one of my favorites is Journey of Souls. Dolores Cannon, hypnotherapist. All right, got it. So Journey of Souls, that's the Michael Newton book that talks about the life between lives. Like there's a ton of information on near-death experiences that happen. You die and you go somewhere and talk to people and you come right back. And then you've got a lot of data about reincarnation, kids having memories of past lives, past life regression. You've got all of that. There really wasn't a lot of information about what happens if instead of the near-death experience, you have the full death experience. So where do you go from there? Is that heaven or what is that? So Michael Newton, also a hypnotherapist, got lots of stories from people who, through memory regression, remembered their lives between lives. So he talks about soul groups, people that you're on sort of this eternal journey with, the same 5 or 6 or 10 people that are always with you. Like in one life, maybe it's your spouse. In another life, maybe it's your child or a best friend or a mentor. There are just these people that are always kind of around. And I've said this before because I'm a fan of his work. It's very it's uplifting, like it's very reassuring, especially for someone who's not very religious like myself. People who are hardcore faith and they know that there's a God, they know there's a heaven. I'm jealous of that because they just know. Me, I don't know what happens. So when I read the Michael Newton's book, and we have these stories from these people that are talking about what's happening between their lives, it's reassuring to someone who's not part of the hardcore faithful. Like, oh, there could be something, there is something else. And we do kind of retain our personalities. So if you're into that kind of stuff, that's Michael Newton's books. There are a few of them on Amazon. I think a couple of his books are actually free to read on Kindle if you're a Kindle member. So they're really, really interesting. Deathshock saying early Christians believe in reincarnation. Yep, that's true. When people ask me about the soul groups, my go-to answer is, there's no such thing as love at first sight. If you've lived long enough, you realize there's no such thing until there is, because there are those people that are with their spouse. We met when we were 9 years old and we knew. Well, that's two people in a soul group. You came here together, which is in these books, which is awesome because these are decisions that are made in the afterlife, with your group. It's like you're with your homies hanging out. Time is weird there. So you can you wait and have conversations about, what did you do in your last life and how did it compare to another one? And we're just, we're hanging out, just waiting for Michael Wade to get back. He's not doing well. He'll be here any second. There's Michael Wade. And then you decide, all right, what are we going to do? All right, we're going to try this again. This time, we'll be married. And then a few years later, we'll have a child. That'll be you. Like you plan it out. And, I'm sort of an anti-social lone wolf. I'm not really anti-social. I'm not like weird, but I prefer small, quiet gatherings to large groups of people. I'm like that. But once in a while, I will click with a person really well, which is very rare. Maybe a few times in my life. And the first thing I think of is I clicked so quickly with this person. This could be someone from my soul group. All right. We'll move on from that. Unless you want to hear more, let me know in the chat. There's Scott Christensen. Thank you for the $20 super sticker. Very generous. Hello from Denmark, says Stefan. And Merry Christmas to you as well, my friend. And there's Vicky's Rome 8. Cheers. And Fancy Pants MYC 43 for $20. I appreciate that.
You like this show? Send me some dough. You can super chat. I hope you know about that. There is one thing that I am sure of. You gotta tip me some more, human. Won't you tip me with some money? Hey, hey, fishy, fishy, fishy. Don't you know you gotta tip the fishy? Hey, hey, tip the fishy.
Tip the fishy tonight. There's the team. There's Gino there on the upper right. Below him, there's Victoria, and below me, you could see Jennifer. At least that's what it looks like on my screen. Are we arranged the same way on everybody's? Thumbs up. Are we going to do a Gino story hour today?
Mute.
I mean, it wouldn't be Gino without being muted at first.
He's not muted.
Uh-oh.
It's just not working.
Just not working.
I think we're going to do the Gino story hour on Christmas Day.
Oh, okay. Christmas Day. How could Gino and I are the ones who tested out the audio.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear you just fine. Gino, that I know what microphone you're using. That I think that's the Elgato. Just unplug it right from the back of there and plug it right back in. Right from on the mic itself. And take a look at that mic. There's a dial on there. If it's red, that means it's muted. I forgot that David Money had a...
His name is Paul. He said it in the... So,
Paul.
And they have really curly hair. So his name is Pafro.
Oh, okay.
Afro. His name's Paul. He said
Love it.
I'm trying to unmute Gino. It says, can't unmute your guest. Their mic isn't connected.
This is clearly not a professional operation.
Clearly. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays to you all.
Alex B says, do a Gino story hour off the cuff. Pardon me. Those are the best. I like those too. I watched his first story hour the other day that was just like out of the blue. And I think it might have been Cisco Grove. It was Cisco Grove.
The first one he ever did was the ice spiders.
That was the ice spiders. Cisco Grove, I guess, was second.
Oh, I thought
It was
that
very
first.
entertaining. It's very entertaining. He was very smooth. And I don't know how you remembered so many details because someone in the chat just asked about that. Yeah, Gino knows his weird stories, that's for sure.
Nope, nothing. Oh, wait, hang on.
So Fancy Pants says, Merry Christmas. Thank you for a pleasant 2023. Looking forward to 2024 topics. Any spoilers? Yeah, I don't mind spoiling them.
No.
How about now?
Yes.
By the way, Cisco Grove was the first one. The Striders was the first one we did after we deemed it a Gino story hour. So Cisco Grove was the one off the dome. And then Striders was the first one. I brought in some of my research. I had to check my papers.
Right.
Business papers.
So we're doing near-death experiences next week.
Yep.
And then the week after that, we're doing an episode on Project 8200, which is really interesting.
That's good. That's going to be new to a lot of people.
Yes. And then we are doing an episode on the pineal gland and DMT and all of that. Then panspermia.
Smart Schwartz Hub saying, where do I buy your shades? We have the best mods in the business. If you go on the Wi-Files Reddit, there's an FAQ page. So on the fact page is actually a link to these shades if you want to buy them. They're a little too red for actually, but they're the only ones that help me see. Giggity back at you, Martin. Mike VS asking, what's Project 8200? Well, I don't want to spoil the whole thing, but it's CIA, remote viewing, and aliens, a little bit of time travel. It's going to fit right in.
If we have any remote viewers in the audience, please reach out to Gino at thewifiles.com or go on Discord and find me because I have some projects for you. I'd like to send you out on.
And then we can't do it on on YouTube, but next Monday on the podcast is going to be our first like original deep dive, and it's going to be on Aleister Crowley, and it is crazy, but we can't do it on YouTube. Too hot for YouTube.
It's too hot for YouTube. That is on the podcast. Did you know we have a podcast?
I did.
Jen knew that. Yeah. So twice a week we post, and that will increase when we start adding guests. So there's the our show, the normal show that we do on Thursday nights goes up there if you want to listen to it on the road. But also we do a deep dive on, I think we release those on Wednesdays, right? On Wednesdays, the deep dives come out.
Yes.
And those are just either just more information than are in the episodes on YouTube, or some updates to stories, sometimes corrections. So those run a lot longer. They're a lot of fun to listen to. You know, it's kind of theater of the mind, music, sound effects, all of that. So it's super fun. Wherever you get your podcast, you can listen to the Wi-Fi's Operation podcast and help us climb the charts. I mean, I think we peaked at 45 on the charts. Right now we're languishing in the 60s.
Well, we got an email from Good Pods yesterday. That's another platform, I guess. Fast Company started it. And we're ranking 11th on their documentary charts and on a couple of their other charts too. So,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But Crowley's going to be interesting because it's going to be our Monday podcast. Because what we do, podcasts are Mondays and Wednesdays. Mondays are a rebroadcast of the Thursday episode we just did, but we don't have a Thursday episode because we're not doing one today. So we're going to post Crowley on Monday, and we're doing Dodleston Messages on Wednesday.
Oh, I have to go over that script, don't I?
Yes, both of them.
Mm-hmm. Both of them. Bill Barkley, does Hecklefish have a Santa hat? He absolutely does. Natalia's following the podcast on Google Podcasts. I appreciate that. Follow us somewhere else, though, because Google's podcast is going away. They're terminating that.
Wow.
Google does that. You know, they put billions of dollars into like Stadia games, and then it runs for a couple of years, and then you get an email like, oh, this is going away now. Bye. Peace out. So Google Podcast is going away. I used to listen to that as well.
And then we are doing an episode on Neanderthals, however you want to say it. It is fascinating. And then we're going to do an episode on CRISPR.
Yeah, it turns out Neanderthals didn't look like what we thought they looked like. The working title of that episode so far is Orcs Were Real.
Yes.
Bruce, yes, we're on all of our videos go to Rumble. The live streams sometimes do. It's a pain to set up. So like today, I just didn't have time. But all the videos that you see on YouTube eventually end up on Rumble. Sometimes it takes a few days for them to transfer over, but it's an automatic distribution. What was your next one after Neanderthals, Jen?
CRISPR.
Oh, so DNA manipulation, genetic splicing.
Yes.
That's going to be weird. Which one of you does the voice of Hecklefish? Well, he does his own voice. Who does your voice?
Yes.
Such a weird question.
Let's see. What are people asking?
Penny Tom, I wonder if Nephilim were actually Neanderthals. I was thinking the same exact thing. But they weren't really giants. They were actually shorter than Homo sapiens, but they were much stronger than we thought. Here's how it was described in one of the articles I read. A Neanderthal could lift a NFL professional linebacker, lift him over his head, and is so strong he could throw that linebacker through the goalposts. So we're talking immense strength. So the episode is going to be about how this new theory is how Neanderthals almost wiped out Homo sapiens, that our population of our species was down to about 50 individuals.
Do you think they had thought and consciousness?
Neanderthals?
Humans.
They definitely did. They definitely did. They had language. They organized into raiding parties. They used tools and weapons.
Well, don't give up too much of the episode.
There's 75 hardcore fans here. The video is going to get 2 million views. This is just among us.
Just saying.
This is just among us. So it's thought that the reason that we survived is we invented projectile weapons first. That's the best that they can come up with, is spears and bow and arrows, because Homo sapiens were fighting close quarters with Neanderthals and getting just destroyed. We're talking one Neanderthal taking out 8-10 men at a time, like just getting destroyed. Jen, tell AJ that Hecklefish needs laser eyes.
Freaking laser beams.
Freaking laser beams. Doc Griffin, 7K hardcore fans. Yeah. I mean, you have to be hardcore. I don't know why anyone watches our streams. But if you keep showing up, I'll keep showing up.
Yeah.
But Will, I did a studio tour at the beginning of the show, which was a little bit of a cheat because that was the footage from a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll do a tour today if you guys want. You know, after we do a watch along, because the watch along give me a chance to set up a camera. But if you want me to do a tour,
Yeah, it's
and walk
changed
around
some.
it has changed quite a bit.
Mhm.
Our Jewel likes our storytelling. I appreciate that. You know, it's nice to see the Y files on the podcast charts, and then there's Mr. Ballin down here. You know, no, he's great. No, he's great. I'm just saying he's so good that when we, you know,
Yes.
I mean, Kill Tony's super funny down here. You know, we're funny, but Kill Tony's funny too. I tease, of course, because Tony's going to hear this. He's actually ranking pretty high this week.
And we know Tony, so he's
Yes.
just giving him some grief.
Lucy Wave says yes to the tour. Okay. We'll do that. Bernie, so the meek did inherit the earth. Yeah. Yeah. Numinous Mr. Ballin is phenomenal. I think so.
Yes.
I think he's one of the best in the business. Frank Zero, Mr. Ballin's awesome, but your show is the diversity we need. I think that's true. I'm making a joke about Mr. Ballin, but I think what he does and what I do are very different. I think our topics are very different. The way we produce shows is very different. And I think while we have plenty of crossover audience, I don't think it's 100% crossover.
No.
You know, the same goes for Joe Scott. We have a lot of Joe Scott fans in our audience. I'm one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very different vibe. It's a very different kind of show. So we just attract more fun, weirder people. That's my people. Fun and weird.
That's us.
I heard a rumor that Hecklefish is actually a CIA plant and that he's actually a voiced cartoon character. That could be. Cyber Rash, have you covered King Arthur on a video yet? Not on a video. Just covered him on the podcast. You know, that's probably the best place to do that. Because on the podcast, I can take my time and just tell the story. With YouTube, it's got to be punchy, and it's hard to be punchy with a King Arthur story. Penguino asking if I like coffee. I do.
He does.
Andrew says we love Gino's story hour, raw and uncut with all the ums. She wants all the ums.
If you buy some more cavemancoffeeco.com, I might.
I lost my
happened?
feed.
He was doing it
Oops, I
really
don't know.
fast.
Yeah, we can have that feedback. Okay, yeah. Camera 3 ready? Fire camera 3. All right, there he is. Sorry, we lost it for a second. We had a little audio cut out. All right, this is Layla, $20. Hey, I'm Layla, aka Lele. I'm 8, and this is my favorite show. I have a question. What does Hecklefish and the aliens do for Christmas? My question is, how's an 8-year-old got $20 to super chat?
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
I think Gino and I got allowance for a couple of years. I think it was $5 a week.
That's it.
It's way different now.
I was $5
yeah.
a week, and it was $5 a week for a long time. And I remember I had a discussion with Mom about inflation, but it didn't go anywhere. It didn't go anywhere.
I'm sure it didn't.
No, I'm like, Mom, the CPIs are up like 4% this year. Can I get a bump? Can we go to 650? She said, brush your teeth and go to your room. So what does Hecklefish and the aliens do for Christmas? I think they do the same things everybody does. You know, stockings by the fire and aliens by the tree. I don't know.
Their stockings just look a little different.
They're like fin stockings or stockings for the Greys.
Yes. Yes.
How's
Where do you
Layla
think
have
fishnets
$20?
came from?
Artemis Levenberg for 10. I love this channel. Please never stop. Happy solstice. Happy solstice to you. It's okay to pagans are welcome. All pagans are welcome.
Everybody.
That's right.
Jennifer, did our Christmas tree make it through the night?
It did.
We had a little bit of drama because Jen and I have been together a long time. We've always had cats.
Yes.
And Jen loves a Christmas tree, but I told her very early on, we can have a Christmas tree or we can have cats, but we cannot have both. And it was sort of an argument that we had. So she got the Christmas tree, spent more money on it than we could afford, set up the Christmas tree, and within an hour, the cats were in it. They were knocking the balls off all over the floor. It was a mess. So every few years, she forgets that happened. Apparently, this is one of those years. So I got home yesterday. I think it was yesterday. And she's very excited, showing me all the presents. And there's the Christmas tree. And I said, it's beautiful, but she's like, they don't even notice it yet. Well, they're going to notice it. They're not 15 seconds into that sentence. My cat, that I call Dummy, was in the middle of the tree, tearing it apart. Jen had to get up, yank him out of there, and then the tears started. Then the tears. I worked so hard on that, and I just ruined it, and I just wanted to have a... Like, it's okay. It is beautiful. It's not going to last. I just wanted to have a Christmas. Right? It was...
Yes.
He had an emotional moment.
That happened. But it made it through the night. Look, I didn't even I got a small tree that's sitting on a table, and I didn't even put decorations on it because I was like, then they won't mess with it. But yeah.
Our cats grew up as outside cats.
Yeah.
So to them, she just brought the outside in, and they're indoor cats now. So they see a tree, they get excited.
They do. And somebody, I guess they make trees that hang upside down from the ceiling.
What?
They make trees like for cats that you can hang them from the ceiling. And I'm like, my cats would see, somebody just said they sell upside down trees, but our cats would just leap and grab the bottom and then climb up in it. See?
No.
Oh, come on.
But
Why?
that one stopped my tree. I mean, my cat.
This one's so it's an upside down tree, but it's on a stand that sits on the floor.
Yeah. There are some that hang from the ceiling too. See?
Okay, that's
I know.
no. Just we're not having that. There's well, and not only. I mean, I don't want to say it's stupid because maybe people are enjoying it, but I wouldn't be able to deal with it because every time I'd walk in the room, I would get dizzy. For a moment, I'd feel like everything's upside down.
And our cat's
Anyone in
really
the chat have an upside down Christmas tree? My big Maine Coon loves to jump into the Christmas tree for fun. Well, Dummy is a Maine Coon, and if yours is anything like mine, he is a handful.
Yes, he's fantastic, and we love him very, very much. But I just want my Christmas tree.
There's layer shifts. Go ahead, Gino.
I was going to say he's like 6 hands fulls. That cat ain't tiny.
No, they grow. Maine Coons grow big. Layer Shift 3D for $10. Shout out to my BFF Lauren. Hey, Lauren. Merry Christmas. Is your Maine Coon also a trash panda? Mine are. Yeah, pretty much.
Yes. He will eat anything. He loves crackers. Like he loves carbs. Anything that's like a carb, he wants to eat it. Crazy cat.
Yeah, but he also likes to have a little salad from time to time.
He does like that.
There's Spiffy Jibs, 5 Canadian. We can't wait for our merch. Merry Christmas from our fam to yours. Merry Christmas to you. Thanks for grabbing the merch. Is anything going to be on time for Christmas?
Not if you've ordered it now.
Not if you ordered it now. Ella Mayo saying, tell us a story, Gino.
Well, I'd like to talk about the Malaysian Flight 370, but I don't think I'm allowed to.
No, because we're going to do a podcast on it.
Oh, we are?
Yes. Sorry, Gino.
Yeah.
I added some great video in our archives for it.
Did you pull some video?
Pulled some video. Something very interesting happened this week that will become part of it. But a large influencer, Kim.com, put up $100,000 to debunk the videos or show the videos without the UFO orbs flying around it. As much as he could find, he can't find anyone who could debunk this.
Wow. Okay, we'll cover that.
About this.
All right, Emerald Tablet is what won the poll. Let me see if I could find it. Where's that window? This is just not.
Could you you just one time conduct this live stream in a professional manner?
And then which button is it? It's going to be like that. But we can't just we gotta fix it though, right?
Yeah, it's you can't see your head. I mean, you can only see from here down.
I think we're good. I think we're close.
Well, you have to play it to see because right now I don't see your whole head.
You didn't see my whole head?
No.
I keep forgetting where that button is. Well, you don't see my head because he comes down.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Whoops.
I stopped doing that for a week or two, and the comments were very angry about that. They wanted that back.
Yes.
Don't like change.
All right, so I'm gonna go watch along here. I'm gonna hit play, and you guys let me know if the audio's working. And then I'm gonna go ahead and drop you off as well, and then we'll be back after the episode.
Okay.
Which would you prefer, eternal life or unlimited wealth? How about both? For that, you need the Philosopher's Stone, a substance that can turn base metals into gold and grant you eternal life. The Book of Aquarius contains the instructions for the Philosopher's Stone. Now, although the process can take years, the ingredients are simple. You have them in your home right now. But the Book of Aquarius is derived from many older texts, including one very mysterious artifact, the Emerald Tablet, which contains not only the recipe for immortality, but the secret to everything in the universe. This knowledge has been around for centuries, but has been suppressed until now. Medieval alchemists received this knowledge from the Arabs 1,000 years ago. The Arabs got it from the Egyptians 2,000 years before that. But the Egyptians received this knowledge 36,000 years ago from the most advanced culture on Earth. The Emerald Tablet comes from Atlantis. Ooh. For hundreds of years, the recipe for the Philosopher's Stone was the most sought-after secret of alchemy. According to legend, this substance could turn ordinary metals like lead and iron into gold. The Philosopher's Stone was also called the Elixir of Life because it could restore youth and even grant immortality. For centuries, alchemists attempted to create the stone, breaking down, distilling, and combining different materials in pursuit of this goal. This actually led to the creation of chemistry. Now, this might sound like hocus pocus, but some of the most brilliant minds in history believed in the Philosopher's Stone and dedicated a large portion of their lives in pursuit of it. Some became so infatuated that it drove them to the brink of insanity. Isaac Newton is remembered for his contributions to mathematics, astronomy, and physics, but he was also interested in alchemy. Newton spent the last 30 years of his life obsessed with the Philosopher's Stone. He even made his own translations of the Emerald Tablet, which are still studied today. Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II brought the best alchemists in Europe to court. Men like John Dee and Edward Kelly were given a private lab and an unlimited budget. At the beginning of the Renaissance, there was an alchemist who, as the legend goes, actually discovered the Philosopher's Stone, and his name was Nicholas Flamel. Now
He gave it to Dumbledore.
What?
Well, he actually puts it in Gringotts' vault, and then Hagrid fetched it for him.
I don't think that's...
But Voldemort wants it, because he's stuck in the back of Quirrell's head, right? Then Hermione gets him past the Devil's Snare, and then Ron plays wizard chess. By the way, he used the Nimzowitsch defense as an opening gambit. You don't see that much with wizard chess.
Now, if you believe in the legend or Harry Potter, Nicholas Flamel didn't die in 1418. He succeeded in creating the Philosopher's Stone, and he and his wife Perenelle are still alive and out there somewhere.
Whoa, 600 years is a long time to be married.
I guess it is.
A long time.
Mm-hmm.
So very long. A long time.
Ever since man realized that his life was finite, the human race has been fascinated with the idea of extending their lifespan or even achieving immortality. The legend of the Fountain of Youth has been around for hundreds of years, and now we have cryonics, which is freezing a body at the moment of death in the hope of reviving them at some point in the future, or mind uploading, which will transfer a person's consciousness to a computer and then at some point transfer that consciousness back into a human or part human, part robot body. But it all started with the Emerald Tablet. Written by the Egyptian god Jehudi, more commonly known as Thoth. Thoth was one of the most important gods of ancient Egypt. He was worshipped before the age of the pharaohs, so before 5000 BC. Thoth was the god of magic, wisdom, and the moon. He was usually depicted as a man with the head of an ibis.
IBS?
Ibis.
What'd I say?
Thoth created writing and hieroglyphics. He wrote the Egyptian Book of the Dead. The Egyptians claimed he invented science, religion, philosophy, and, of course, alchemy. Greeks call him the inventor of astronomy, mathematics, civilized government, and the alphabet.
Kind of an overachiever, this Egyptian, eh?
Well, that's what's interesting. Thoth wasn't actually a god. He wasn't even Egyptian. He arrived in Egypt many thousands of years ago, and he brought with him knowledge and wisdom from his own country.
Which is?
Thoth is from Atlantis.
Yahtzee!
Plato described Atlantis as being divided into 10 kingdoms, each with its own government, its own rulers, and its own purpose. One of these kingdoms was the island of Undal, which was the Atlantean center of philosophy and science. Thoth was born 36,000 years ago on Undal in the city of Keora. Keora was a community of scholars, scientists, and priests. Thoth was trained by his father, Thotme, who was a very important figure in Atlantis. Thotme was one of the Children of Light, who were an advanced race that lived alongside humans. The Children of Light provided the human race with science, language, and eventually technology. Some have said these beings were extraterrestrials, or the Anunnaki, or both. Though the children of light weren't gods, they would appear godlike to any normal human. But these are mortal beings. They're born and they die, just like we do.
Whoa. But if he could die, how was he in Atlantis 36,000 years ago and in Egypt 5,000 years ago?
I'm getting to it.
Sorry. Go ahead. I like this story.
I thought you would. Anyway, Thoth's father, Thotme, was the keeper of the great temple, which means he was a high priest who carried messages to the human race from the children of light.
Wise were we with the wisdom of the children of the light who dwell among us. Strong were we with the power drawn from the eternal fire. And of all these, greatest among the children of men was my father, Thotme, keeper of the great temple, link between the children of light who dwelt within the temple and the races of men who inhabited the 10 islands.
The 10 kingdoms of Atlantis were created by an entity named Horlet, sometimes called the Dweller. And Thoth spent many years with the Dweller learning the art of wisdom. Thoth excelled in his studies and was finally invited to the halls of Amenti. It's there where Thoth is given the key to life, immortality. And he, like the other children of light, can reincarnate every 100 years. Now, as an immortal, Thoth is responsible for keeping the ancient knowledge that he's been taught. Then, a great flood destroys Atlantis.
Well, how long ago was that?
13,000 years ago.
Oh, and when was the Younger Dryas?
13,000 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Yet another flood myth takes place during a period of time known as the Younger Dryas. Every culture on Earth has the same flood myth. Anyway, in order to preserve the knowledge and culture of Atlantis, Thoth is one of the teachers sent out to establish new colonies around the world. One of these colonies is in South America. Another is in Central America. Thoth travels to a land the Atlanteans call Kem, but we know it as Egypt. Thoth took with him a tablet carved out of green emerald, though some believe it might have been crystal. Others say the tablet was made of orichalcum, a valuable ancient metal that, according to Plato, was mined in Atlantis. On this emerald tablet, Thoth wrote the secrets of the universe, including the key to immortality. This knowledge would become the foundation for ancient Egyptian alchemy. Now, for centuries, Thoth would reincarnate into different bodies, sharing his wisdom with a select few. Usually, he was born in Egypt, but sometimes his mission would take him to other parts of the world. And that takes us to ancient Greece, where the Emerald Tablet makes its first appearance. The Emerald Tablet, also known as Tabulus Maragdina in Latin, is only 24 stanzas of text, but hidden within those few stanzas is the secret to immortality. The tablet is said to have been written by Hermes Trismegistus, who some say is a combination of the Greek god Hermes and the Egyptian god Thoth, or is a reincarnation of Thoth himself. Hermes Trismegistus is the author of a group of texts called the Hermetica, and from these we get Hermeticism, a set of spiritual concepts and practices characterized by a belief in the unity of all things in the universe. Hermeticism has influenced secret societies like the Freemasons, the Rosicrucians, and the Order of the Black Sun. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn is a secret society that emerged in the late 19th century. They used Hermetic principles in their ceremonies, which were said to be magic. The order also drew on other esoteric traditions, including Kabbalah and Tarot. The earliest known mention of the Emerald Tablet comes from an Arabic text dated 1,200 years ago. But this text claims to be a translation of a much older work, which is possibly a translation of an even older text. Upon discovery, the Emerald Tablet became one of the most studied documents by Islamic and European alchemists. It also became popular with occultists who often used the motto, "as above, so below," which is the second verse of the tablet. But these were all just translations. The original tablet was lost. Then, sometime in the 1st century AD, the philosopher Apollonius of Tyana was studying in the city's library when he came across a mysterious book. It was bound in green leather, and its pages were made of a material that he had never seen before. The book was written in a language that he didn't recognize, and its pages were filled with strange symbols and diagrams. Apollonius studied the book and realized that it was a book of alchemy, filled with the secrets of the universe and the hidden forces of nature. Determined to uncover the mysteries of the book, Apollonius set out on a quest to find its author. After a long search, he came to a remote temple in the mountains where he met an oracle who told him where to look for answers. Apollonius was given directions to a secret cave underneath the statue of Hermes in Tyana. At the end of a dark, winding passage, Apollonius found the corpse of Hermes Trismegistus, sitting on a golden throne. Still clutched in his withered skeletal fingers, Hermes had a dusty book, and a tablet carved from a single piece of translucent green stone. Apollonius took the emerald tablet and the book and sealed the cave. He then incorporated these newfound secrets of alchemy into his own work. But then the emerald tablet was lost again.
Again, it's lost. How tiny was this thing?
Well, it was pretty big, almost 4 feet long and about 3 feet wide.
All that wisdom and they can't keep track of a giant stone tablet, eh? Everyone who touches it suddenly comes down with a case of the Butterfingers.
It would seem so. Apollonius wrote that he gave the tablet to the Roman Emperor Hadrian, who buried it under his palace. But some think the tablet was in the Library of Alexandria when it burned, or was taken by the Knights Templar, or it's in the Vatican's secret archives. It's been said to have ended up at just about every mysterious place on Earth. But in 1925, a man named Dr. Maurice Doreal had an idea. The early stories of the Egyptian god Thoth talk of him building the Great Pyramid of Giza as a way to protect an ancient artifact. So Dr. Doreal went to Egypt and explored the area where he thought the Emerald Tablet might be.
Oh, did he find it?
Not exactly.
Oh.
He found all 10. The tablets Doreal found were in the possession of a mysterious group called the Great White Brotherhood. They wouldn't allow Doreal to take the tablets, but they did let him translate them. A few years later, in 1939, Dr. Doreal published his translation as a book, The Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean. His translation confirmed that the tablets were indeed written by Thoth. Doreal went on to found the Brotherhood of the White Temple, a religion that still exists and has a following. And one of the main themes of the book and of the Brotherhood of the White Temple is the concept of the one thing. The one thing is described as the source of all creation and the ultimate reality behind the physical world. It's said to be an energy that permeates all things and is the essence of all life.
The Force is what gives a Jedi his powers. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together.
We did a Star Wars bit last week. We can't go back to that well so soon.
Yeah, it was worth a shot.
Well, the book also describes ancient technologies and hidden knowledge. It suggests that ancient civilizations had advanced technologies and knowledge that have been lost over time. For example, the book describes a device called the Firestone, which is said to have the power to generate energy and manipulate matter. The book claims this technology was used by ancient civilizations, including the Atlanteans, but it's being suppressed. But a large part of the book covers alchemy, specifically transforming base metals into gold, curing illness, granting immortality, and achieving enlightenment. But like the original Emerald Tablet, it was all allegory and symbolism, subject to many different interpretations. There are no clear instructions. The tablet doesn't tell us what kind of materials we need to create the Philosopher's Stone. And even if they did, they don't tell us the process. But on March 11th, 2011, a mysterious book suddenly appeared online. It was called The Book of Aquarius. And this is what was written on the first page. The age of secrets is over. There's no need for mystical language or metaphor. This book contains no hidden meaning or codes. Everything is stated plainly and directly.
So what the hell does this mean?
Well, this means that anyone who wanted to create the Philosopher's Stone now has a recipe to follow, just like a cookbook. The Book of Aquarius looked legit. It's 165 pages and references 49 different alchemical texts that span 1,000 years. It's a long, difficult process, but anyone with the time and patience could do it. And some people did. And what's most amazing about the recipe for the Philosopher's Stone is that it's only one ingredient. And we all have it in us.
Oh, in us? What are you talking about? Well, what's the one ingredient we need to live forever?
Well, the one ingredient is,
What?
urine.
Oh, come on!
Some of the greatest minds in history have tried to find the secret of the Philosopher's Stone. When the Book of Aquarius appeared on an online forum in 2011, the anonymous author encouraged everyone to spread it online for free. He wrote, "The purpose of this book is to release one particular secret, which has been kept hidden for the last 12,000 years. The Book of Aquarius contained easy to understand step-by-step instructions for how to create the Philosopher's Stone, which, if created properly, would grant you eternal life." The author of the book said that all the old alchemy texts using confusing metaphors and symbolism was actually done intentionally. This was an early disinformation campaign, a way to keep the recipe secret, but still make it accessible to alchemists who knew how to decipher the text. And when the Book of Aquarius was posted to an online forum, it was ridiculed at first. There was no way you could achieve immortality with pee, but throughout history, alchemists actually used urine all the time. The 16th century Swiss alchemist Paracelsus claimed that life essence was in blood, in hair, sweat, and human waste. The Book of Aquarius says that the Philosopher's Stone is this life energy, concentrated and purified. This is the same energy you take in when you breathe, when you eat and drink. It's the energy that powers all forms of life, so it makes sense that it would be found in urine. Ancient alchemists knew this as well. Remember earlier I mentioned the secret society called the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn? It had a lot of famous members. W.B. Yeats, Aleister Crowley, Arthur Conan Doyle, and a lot of other names that you'd recognize. Their name, Golden Dawn, is a reference to the only ingredient used to make the Philosopher's Stone. Golden as in the color, and dawn because that's the best time of day to get it.
You have got to be me.
Nope. But now with the Book of Aquarius hitting the web, all the secret symbolism and oaths of secrecy were useless. The Book of Aquarius gave specific step-by-step instructions on how to store, boil, distill, ferment, and purify urine. It would take months or even years, but eventually a stone would start to form. It was all in the book. How to do it, what the results should look like, what the process smells like.
Nobody really tried to make this crazy thing, did they?
They sure did. Shortly after the Book of Aquarius was published, the anonymous author set up a website at thebookofaquarius.com. There you could, of course, download a free copy of the book, but also participate in a forum where people would try to follow the instructions of the book as closely as possible and create their own Philosopher's Stone. And although the stone only required one ingredient,
Tinkle.
right, the process for extracting your life energy required patience. Even if you did everything correctly, it would take between 3 and 8 years to finish the work and make a stone. And that's assuming you kept your materials free from contamination, controlled the temperature, and used the correct equipment at the correct phase of production. A lot could go wrong. Yet a small but determined group of people were giving it their best shot. The recipe for creating the stone had 2 major parts. First, you had to repeatedly distill the urine and continually remove the densest particles. Next, you do it all again, but this time remove the lightest particles, which would be a form of salt. This first part would ideally take 3 months, but could often take up to a year. In the second part of the recipe, you combine the salt with the distilled urine and put it on a low and continuous heat. You do that for over a year until it putrefies and turns black. And the next part of the recipe...
Wait.
What?
Can you not call it a recipe, please? That makes it sound like you're supposed to eat it.
Well...
What? What?
When you're done with the process, you do eat it.
Ugh, I'm gonna be sick.
What's your problem? You're swimming in half the recipe right now.
It's not the same thing. I got bubbles. I got filters. Besides, I only tinkle in the back of the bowl.
I don't think it matters.
It matters.
Anyway, you keep heating the black stuff and eventually it turns white. And then you turn up the heat a little bit more and the stone turns red. And then you're pretty much ready to go. The book even gives you some guidance on how much you should,
I can't.
On the Book of Aquarius forums, a community of amateur alchemists emerged. Even the author of the book was an active member and would answer anyone who had a question. People were following the process, sharing tips and strategies. They would discuss how different foods affected their essence. They even posted pictures of their results. This went on for a few years, long enough for at least one person to succeed.
Did somebody actually get this crazy thing to work?
Well, nobody knows, because suddenly and without warning, the Book of Aquarius website was gone. We covered a lot today. The Egyptian god Thoth, Atlantis, the Emerald Tablet, Hermes Trismegistus, Apollonius of Tyana, the Book of Aquarius, and how they all connect to the Philosopher's Stone. But how much of the story is true? Well, a lot of it is. But let's look at the parts of the story that are questionable. First, the Emerald Tablet is indeed a text that's at least 1,200 years old. It is considered one of the most important documents in alchemy. Isaac Newton and many others were fascinated with it and spent large parts of their life trying to decode it. But the Emerald Tablets, plural, that's a different story. All the stuff about Atlantis comes from the book The Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the Atlantean by Dr. Maurice Doreal. And a lot of that information is part of Doreal's religion, the Brotherhood of the White Temple. The Brotherhood really does exist. It even has a lodge in Colorado. And Doreal has a lot of followers. You could find tons of articles and YouTube videos from people who believe that Doreal was chosen to deliver his message to the world.
It is a butt coming.
There is. Now look, maybe Doreal really did discover the tablets in Egypt and translate them. Maybe he really is helping people on their journey to the light of truth, as the Brotherhood claims.
Hey, your tone is drifting into sarcasm territory.
But before you join this cult religion, there are a few things you should know about Dr. Maurice Doreal. Dr. Doreal's real name was Claude Doggins, and he wasn't a doctor of anything. He never graduated high school, which is amazing because he claimed that he was able to read and write as soon as he was born and was doing advanced mathematics before the age of 1.
Yet no interest in getting a GED, huh?
Yeah, I guess not. So no record of him receiving a doctorate, but there is record of him driving a cab.
He drove a cab in Egypt?
Oh, he never went to Egypt.
Yeah, but
His passport verifies this. When he was confronted about the passport problem, Doreal, aka Doggins, said, well, they weren't physical travels, they were astral travels. Doggins wrote a lot about astral travels and other paranormal phenomena. He wrote about UFOs, alien attacks, the nuclear war that he predicted would happen in 1956. And he wrote about human serpent hybrids living in the Gobi Desert.
lizard people!
Yep.
Hey, did you know you could buy a lizard people mug from the Wi-Fi store? Use promo
No,
code...
no merch plugs now.
Sorry. Force a habit.
Now, his followers will say all the things that Doreal wrote were true. The problem is, his stories were lifted from prominent science fiction writers. For example, Doreal's Emerald Tablets book has passages that match almost word for word passages from the Necronomicon by H.P. Lovecraft.
Ooh, that was one of the campfire stories I would read at Camp Greenfoot.
Camp Greenfoot.
Oh yeah, I was a counselor there in the 80s. Kids loved me.
Lovecraft is kind of dark for kids, no?
I didn't think so at the time, but I'm not gonna lie. Some of those kids, they grew up pretty weird.
Anyway, Doreal also lifted ideas from the Shaver Mysteries, which were popular in the sci-fi pulp magazine Amazing Stories. He even wrote into the magazine. And Doreal made all kinds of other wild claims, as most cult leaders do, but there are too many to list here.
So he was a fraud?
Well, I'm not saying that, but his wife did.
What?
At a public event, his wife called him out for lying and cheating in front of a whole group of disciples.
Hell hath no fury, eh?
Yeah, the quote-unquote cult leader divorce made newspaper headlines at the time. Now, even with all this information, Doreal still has plenty of believers. And the Brotherhood still sells all of his books on their website. So the story of the original Emerald Tablet, that story is true. The actual tablet has never been found, but the text has been around for at least 1,200 years. That's confirmed. The Emerald Tablets by Doreal, well, you can make your own decision, but to me it sounds like yet another cult leader passing off science fiction as his own writing to take advantage of people for profit.
Nice work if you can get it.
Sure is. Look at G. You censored me.
Of course I did. Their lawyers watch this show, you moron.
Fair enough. So what about the Book of Aquarius? That one also sounds like science fiction, but turns out it's real. Ever since the Book of Aquarius website was taken down, there's not much information about what happened to the people who were trying to create their own stones. One theory is that some people were actually successful, so either they had the site taken down or...
The Illuminati.
Right, some group of shadowy elites didn't want this information public, so they took down the website. And even though you can still download the book from the Internet Archives, you can't view the messages on the message board. Those have been scrubbed by somebody. Another theory is that the Book of Aquarius was a hoax. But if that's true, it's a hoax that took a lot of effort. The book is 165 pages, and the author goes into meticulous detail. And he quotes from 49 different alchemical texts, ranging from the 20th century all the way back to the 11th century. Many of these texts are pretty obscure and hard to find, and no one has ever come forward to take credit for writing it. The Book of Aquarius is probably not a hoax, but a book written by a passionate individual who honestly believes they're sharing the secret to creating a Philosopher's Stone.
We tinkle.
Yep. There's actually a well-documented case of an alchemist attempting to create the Philosopher's Stone from urine. In 1669, German alchemist Hennig Brand dedicated years of his life to creating the stone. He was convinced urine was the way to do it, and he did everything that the Book of Aquarius says to do. Now, after boiling and distilling 1,500 gallons of his essence, he ended up with a white, waxy substance that actually glowed in the dark.
He made the stone?
No, he accidentally discovered phosphorus. Now, to a 17th century alchemist, this must have been amazing. Here was a substance that was the product of the human body that was glowing with a life force. Now, Braun kept the recipe secret while he tried to create gold, but when he couldn't get that to work, he sold the recipe to another alchemist. As for living forever, well, it's been reported that Hennig Braun did die, but nobody knows exactly when. Now, of course, legend says that he faked his death and, like Nicholas Flamel, is still alive today. Now, that makes sense to me. If I created the Philosopher's Stone, I don't think I'd ever tell. Would you? Now, if you want to try creating it, the Book of Aquarius is still available online and linked below, but I don't recommend it. Boiling urine smells awful, but that's a small price to pay for immortality.
Wait. How do you know it smells awful?
Don't worry about that. Now, if you do decide to try and create the Philosopher's Stone, do me a favor. Email me in about 600 years, and we'll both have a good laugh.
No!
Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. My name is AJ. There's Hecklefish, and this has been the Y-Files. If you had fun or learned anything, do us a favor and like, subscribe, comment, share. That stuff really helpful.
Oh, they learned some things today.
I agree.
I think you owed them an apology, actually.
Oh, they're fine. Now, like most topics we cover on this channel, today's was recommended by you. And if there's a story that you'd like to see or learn more about, go to theyfiles.com/tips. People's skin became infected. Yeah, sorry about that. I mute the mic when the episode is playing. No one wants to hear what's going on here. You don't want to hear that. Let's get a couple of super chats on the screen. Spiffy Jibs, we can't wait for our merch. Merry Christmas from our family to yours. Thank you for supporting. Aka, the Big A. $50 super sticker. I appreciate that. Intergalactic Angler farts, slurp sounds. Yeah, it's mostly just the nicotine gum chewing that you don't want to hear. That chomping. All right, what? Oh, so Ark of the Covenant is the winner. A couple of people was asking for Cozy Rev. I think that's a good episode too. And I haven't followed up on it, but there's that Facebook group that they were building a Cozy Rev mirror. I wonder if they ever got it to work. Oh, you guys are back. There's this Reaper's Gambit for 5 Merry Christmas to the Y-Files team. Special thanks to Gino for helping with my t-shirt order for my wife's Christmas present.
Aw.
You're welcome.
Yep, Gino's running the customer service.
By the way, in the end of that video, that bottle, that looked very real. Didn't it? That didn't look like a prop.
Yeah, it was a prop. I was worried that I was going to get in trouble from YouTube for that.
You should have took a swig.
I think that would have probably been over the line. You know, that was just water with like a few drops of Diet Coke in it. I didn't think it would be yellow enough, but it looked pretty good on camera. Looked pretty real. I think drinking from that would have been a bridge too far.
Would have been a bit offsides.
That would have been offsides. Okay. Mike Clark for 10 says, please stop taking our suggestions. We're all idiots. Y-Files, just do your research and give us your best. Thanks. Mike is direct. I like that.
Right.
Now look, Mike, they're not all idiots. I mean, a measurable percentage, but certainly not all. Bear Rebel for £5. My partner and I love the Y-Files. Thanks for all the awesome entertainment. Merry Christmas from the Bear and the Sosig. Sosig? Bear and the Sosig. Gino, have you heard of the Flatwoods Monster? You know that one, right?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's actually on my roster for Gino Story Hour.
I think that's one we might do on Y-Files as well. There's a lot of good footage.
We did it.
We did it, yeah.
Oh,
we did Flatwoods?
Yeah, that was one. That was actually one of my early. Yeah, that was one of my early ones. where the guy walks out. He's like visiting people. He walks out. He sees a UFO. They don't believe him. So he's like, come on, we're going to go check this out. And they go into the woods and they have a firefight with the Flatwoods monster. And they thought it was an owl, of course.
It's always an owl.
Yes.
There's Russ Savage for 10. Thanks for the videos. You're welcome. Russ, thanks for the super chat. Joe Lamb, speak for yourself, Mike. Joe Smith, Lost Dutchman Gold Mine. That was on my list. And we still might come back to that. Is when I did the Kenny Veach story, there's a reason that I titled that Mojave Mysteries Volume 1, because there are a few more that I want to cover. I was going to just do the episode on Mojave Desert Mysteries, but it started to become so detailed and intricate. I realized that we can split this up into 2 or 3 episodes, because there's always the ship, the treasure ship, the Spanish treasure galleon in the desert,
Right.
which, I'm skeptical, but I think that was real. I mean, there's documentation we know that boat was real. That's documented, and we know that it disappeared. But could it end up in the middle of the desert? I think I can show that it can.
There's some, I did see on Reddit that there are some pictures in Antarctica of things that they feel are boats that are on the surface.
Yeah, I'd like to see those.
Yeah.
DIY Craft Q for 5. Thank you for the super sticker. There's Zeb. He's a super fan, isn't he, Zeb?
Yeah. That's a
Fam
super
watching
fan.
along whilst I work. Question, do y'all give Hecklefish my number? Got a boozy call last night, mostly inaudible. I think I heard nice beaver, and it was faked, accompanied by some splashing. It might have been him. He's been known to drunk dial.
Said happy birthday too. Sorry, we missed it last week.
Oh, is it his birthday?
Yeah.
Well, happy. Hang on.
What was that?
What's she doing?
I'm not sure.
It's like her microphone got actually swallowed by her cleavage. Did you see that?
This live stream is so disappointing. Just so disappointing.
There's Dr. Nan Fran, very reliable. Merry Christmas. Much love, prosperity, and Belvedere throughout the coming new year. Of course, Hecklefish's favorite vodka. I think New Year's resolution maybe I don't need whiskey every night. That might be the resolution. Because it's hard when you drink too much and go to sleep. The sleep isn't great, and then you wake up, you don't feel great. So the first thing I say in the morning is, "We're not going to do that again." But somehow you forget. And then the evening comes, and I forgot.
You forgot.
Next thing you know, clinkety clink, ice is in the glass. Salvador Buttersworth is there for 5. Specifically, remember it being called the X-Files, not the Y-Files. My memory can't be wrong. So the entire universe has obviously changed. Must be a Mandela effect. Because at the end of Moonraker, she had braces.
She
did. The joke doesn't work.
Me and Vic had a discussion about this last night online, looking at some of these videos, and I do think that there's a possibility that, and there's a theory out there. It's not my own, that these Mandela effects are being perpetrated by the powers that be, not the U.S. government, maybe someone higher than that, and they're trying to get away with seeing how much they could change in front of our eyes and what they could get away with. And, one of the people was like, well, no one snuck in and changed my Berenstein Bear books, but I don't think it works that way. I think they're able to change it, and everything changes for everyone all at once. And so you won't find that evidence, and any evidence you find is actually what's trying to throw people off the scent of what's really happening. And here we are in a new universe.
If this is making sense to anyone, then you really should stop smoking. Whatever it is that you're smoking.
That sounds like a Reddit theory. Not sure if I buy that one, but it's an interesting one. There's Tamitha. How do you say that? Tamitha?
Tamitha.
Did she misspell it?
It's her name, probably not.
You have a great holiday, and thank you for supporting the channel with 5 Canadian. Smokecraft 4 says, my wife and I love the show. It's like stepping into a time machine to the golden age of YouTube. We appreciate you and your team so much. We appreciate the kind words. Was there a golden age of YouTube?
I mean, I feel like we're in it.
I hardly watched YouTube before the student.
Sorry.
Why doesn't mine do it?
It has to go through a Mac.
She's on a
and you
Mac.
have to turn the effects on.
That could be it.
I didn't watch much YouTube before we started the studio, and even then not so much. But after COVID forced us to close, I started watching more and more because Jen watched a lot of YouTube, and now it's almost all I watch.
That's
right?
it. Yeah.
More than TV.
That's almost exclusively all I watch.
It is for me.
Off the Hook says CERN is the one doing those Mandela effects.
Very possible.
So we got to keep an eye on that. See, here's the simulation at work. Artesian says, can you do a Cozy Rev Mirror update? You talked about making one. See, that's simulation. Yeah, so I wasn't going to make one Artesian, but there's a Facebook group of people that were pooling resources to build one, but I haven't heard from them.
I think there's some picture updates of them building it.
Is that right?
In the Slack, I think they put in some pictures.
Let's see if I can pull it up.
Yeah, if we could pull it up. Maybe we could see what those pictures look like. Happy holidays to you, Hemlock. Happy solstice, Growlslair. On Reddit, one guy is building one too, says Mr. Meow. That's cool. I'd like to see it.
Oh, that's what it was. It was Reddit.
Godfather 48 says no, it's not CERN. He says DARPA.
Mm.
That's how we're going to share the photo, huh?
Well, you know.
Hey, kids at home, if you want to learn how to do a professional live stream, watch something else. This ain't it.
It's
Are the
on
pictures
Reddit.
any good? If you want to link me in the
I'll pull it up.
Okay.
It's better than his paper days, remember?
John Cole says, AJ, you and I need some kids to make our lives more focused. John, we have one.
Yeah, we certainly don't need any more.
So
We're good.
it's focused. We're focused.
It's
Thank
good.
you.
Right? We don't need any more of those, right, Jenny?
No, we're good.
We're good.
We're good.
Promo Jungle, thank you for the support. Merry Christmas to you.
Okay, AJ, check the private chat.
Aaron Pearl says, drink the turkey and eat the whiskey. That's kind of what it felt like toward the end of the evening there. Open link in new tab. Drag that over. Hang on.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so this is so this is on Reddit, huh? The Wi-Fi's inspired Cozy Rev mirror I'm building. Wow.
I mean, that's not small. He's dedicated.
Yeah, and it looks pretty good.
It looks
It looks
great.
like he's got it.
Very cool.
Will do. I'm documenting everything, but I don't feel comfortable promoting my channel in here without AJ's permission. I'll have to get in there and tell him just to go for it.
Yeah.
I'll open Reddit in my other tab where I'm logged in. Because I don't own the rights to the Cozy Rev mirror.
No. But, you know.
And people with some very interesting comments about electromagnets and frequency generators. A lot of smart people in this audience.
Yes.
It's awesome.
But look, if you get this far, you have to drop updates in there. How old is this? 11 days. Okay. That's great.
When it's ready, I'll be happy to experiment.
Gino will jump right in there. Mark Burke said, if I had $5 for every time I reference one of your videos to shred a conspiracy theorist, well, I'd have $5. Absolutely love the content. Well, thanks, Mark. I think I've debunked quite a few. I think I have. But
You have.
But if I can't debunk something, then I try to be honest about it.
Yeah, if you can't debunk it, you don't.
I really think that the word debunk is a misnomer, especially for the Y-Files, because we're telling both sides of the story. Half the time, I don't believe what you call the debunking. I still believe the video we saw on the moon was not live, and that phone call to the president, not live.
Yeah, it was probably a better way of putting it is we're not debunking, just the different sides, different angles, and you decide.
Right.
There's Devin Sugarheart. Thank you for that. Merry Christmas to you. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Chief and Wolf is here. John Darwin's here. Scappa, Hollow Moon. Marco's got his whiskey. Stephen Wright, are there any you believe? I go into most of the stories not believing them. I'm not a debunker. I'm not like a hardcore skeptic who enjoys debunking. You know who the people I'm talking about, like they enjoy shredding the theories because they get to feel superior. I'm not that guy. I like the stories. I go into them believing they're false, but still hoping that they're true. Like every time travel story I want to be true. They never are, but I want them to be true. But there are a couple of stories that I went into thinking they were false and came out the other side thinking differently. The one that I mention all the time is the Hollow Moon. I think Gino is the one who first mentioned that to me, and he said, "This is the theory," and I said, "That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That is I said, "I can't do that." He's like, "Read up on it and tell me." And halfway through the research, I was like, "Okay, there's some weird stuff about the moon." And then by the time I finished the research, it was the moon is definitely fake. It's definitely not from here, and it was definitely created by aliens to brought here.
Real quick,
So,
John, I didn't take any offense at your comment. So, guys, we don't have to attack John in the comments. Not everybody needs to have kids. We have one, plenty for us. That was plenty. But thank you. And Van Allen belt is wide, and you can go fast.
there you go. That's it. That's how you get through. Retro Relix, thank you for the £19.99. Silent Samurai 8 wants a shout out to my little guppy Neela or Nyla. Neela?
Aww.
Hi, Neela. Is it Neela or Nyla?
Nyla.
I don't
Nilla?
know. But shout out to you.
And what is his avatar there? It looks like what came out the other side of the in the Fly with Jeff Goldblum with the first experiment. What came out?
It's I can't tell.
Don't know. Anybody?
There's Enric Peterson. Hello, a fan from Denmark. Good to see you, Enric. Appreciate the support. Next video we've got is Sacred Object or Ancient Weapon. Where is the Ark of the Covenant and what technology did it use?
Wow.
That story is one of my favorites. Good night, Sigma. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Michael Hammer question, when did the idea for the Y-Files first happen? I picture you all at a dinner talking boutique theories, and then someone says, we should make this a YouTube channel. Michael, the best thing to do is go look at the video I did. I think it was last New Year's.
For the 1 year anniversary. I thought.
Right. And for 1 year and 1 million subscriber, I talk through, I do the whole origin story about how the channel came to be. It's a fun watch, and it's a quick little video, and you'll get a lot of background on me and Jen and Gino and how he arrived here.
And I think that was somewhere around this week last year.
Mm-hmm.
1 year.
Yep. Luis Vera is there for 10. Great channel, brother. Wishing you and the team the best. Same to you, Luis. Intergalactic, turn it up. I hear fine. Spooky, good to see you. I Tickle Chickens wants to know whatever happened to Space Panda. I don't know if he's gone forever. You see, his resume is on the bulletin board.
It is. He didn't do well with test audiences, unfortunately. So
Right.
he didn't get to hang around.
But when we're ready for that James Bond Moonraker episode,
that would be fun. Andrea asked, do you guys have any plans for an app? I made the comment previously, forgot Siri and Alexa. Let's ask AJ. Yeah, we do have plans for an app.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the voice will probably be Hecklefish's, not mine. We have some ideas for something fun. There's Lori Lannister for £5. I got Hecklefish plushie for my 65th birthday. I'm a little old woman. I was looking forward to Mel's Hole. Well, Emerald tablets are good too.
She played the little old woman card. Now I'm sad.
And 65 isn't really like a little old woman. 65 is the new 62, right? I mean, it's not that old.
No.
You know, when you're 20, 65 sounds like a million years old. When you get into these years, 65 is right around the corner.
Yeah.
and I'm still holding out for that Mel's Hole plushie that you squeeze and the seal fetus comes out and sticks its head out.
I think that would be a great product.
I do love that. It looks like a well, and then when you squeeze
It's a well. Yeah,
Fetus.
it's magic soup. I think that's a great idea. And I actually added on our production meeting list, DD in the chat recommended we do for guppies, Y-Files coloring books.
I love that.
So I thought that was a great idea.
Somebody asked the Hecklefish slippers, they have cloth bottoms with the little like nubbies on them. But think
they're red.
They're red.
They're red.
Yeah.
Right, like they're like Louboutin slippers.
Yes. You know, it's
My
got
file's
the-
red. There we go. You got the brand new ones.
Yeah.
Christopher, or the two. What's your favorite video of 2023? 2024 plans. I'd have to look at the list. I'd probably go Beckley. Might be my favorite one for 2023.
Really?
Kenny Beach, I thought was nice. There's Erica Mar. To be honest, and the team will tell you I'm not lying. Every time I release a video, I'm like, I don't think it's all that good. I don't think this is going to really. I'm not that happy with it. You know, I just do my best. There's Erica Marin. Marin. Thank you for the videos. It's definitely family time while watching your videos. Merry Chrysler, everyone. Thanks, Erica.
That's
I love hearing that it's family time. It's not your planet. $100. There's the team moving and grooving.
They see me swimming in my waist. Send me money cause you know that my bowl is dirty. Cause you know my bowl is dirty. Cause you know my bowl is dirty. Wanna smell my bowl, it's dirty. Come and sniff my bowl, it's dirty. My poop is nasty. It's floating. Please tip me cause you know that my bowl is dirty. Cause you know my bowl is dirty. Cause you know my bowl is dirty. Wanna smell my bowl, it's dirty. Come and sniff my bowl, it's dirty.
Hey, party people, love the content. Thanks so much. It's not your planet. Is that a lizard person in the avatar?
Mm-hmm.
No, it looks like maybe. I don't know.
Tripsky Music, thank you for the super sticker. And Megan says, my 8-year-old son Colin loves the show.
Hi, Colin.
Hi, Colin. Glad you're out there. All right, we're ready to do a little Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah.
What's so funny? Why is she laughing?
Well, but I know your chair hasn't come down yet. So I was just laughing
Because my head's up there?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can. Main camera. I'm trying to get my. Good heavens. I'm trying to make my window a little smaller down there, but I think we're just gonna have to go with it.
That's it.
All right, here we go. Even though UFOs are seen everywhere, over the desert, over the ocean, over cities, There's no way to predict when and where they'll show up. Well, no way except one: build or detonate a nuclear weapon. Since the dawn of the atomic age, UFOs have been seen and photographed during nuclear weapons tests and near nuclear weapons facilities. The Ark of the Covenant is one of the most mysterious artifacts in human history. The Ark, a sacred chest made of wood and covered in gold, has been missing since 587 BC. Its last known location was Jerusalem, somewhere under the Temple Mount. So what does that have to do with UFOs? Well, in 2011, a UFO was hovering over the Dome of the Rock on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. It emitted a flash of light, then shot straight up and disappeared into the night sky. This could be just a coincidence, but it could be that the craft was looking for the Ark. The Ark of the Covenant is an object of extreme religious importance to over 2 billion people. So why would a UFO be looking for it? Well, because it's the most dangerous weapon of mass destruction ever created. The Ark of the Covenant. The story has captivated us for over 2,000 years. But what is the Ark really? A container for holy relics? Or, as Indiana Jones said, a radio for talking to God? Or is it God's ultimate doomsday machine, a super weapon for the righteous? It's said to possess tremendous power, including the ability to unleash plagues and natural disasters. As the legend goes, an army that carries the Ark before it is invincible. Or was it something more mundane? The story of the Ark of the Covenant begins in the book of Exodus and is mentioned over 200 times in the Bible. It was carried by the Israelites as they traveled through the desert on their journey to the Promised Land. The Ark would fly into the sky miles ahead of the Israelites and show them the way. It would protect them from any dangers in their path. It parted rivers, created walls of fire, caused the mighty city walls of Jericho to crumble, and reduced mountains to dust.
God sounds like one hell of a co-pilot.
Well, the Israelites thought so. According to the Bible, God summoned Moses to the top of Mount Sinai. There, Moses was given 2 stone tablets inscribed with the 10 Commandments. These tablets were to be stored in the Ark of the Covenant. God gave Moses very specific instructions on how to build it.
Make an ark of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits long, 1.5 cubits wide, and 1.5 cubits high. Overlay it with pure gold, both inside and out, and make a gold molding around it. Then put in the ark the tablets of the covenant law, which I will give you.
Yeah, cubit. I can't even convert to metric. Don't expect me to convert to Bible.
It was a little smaller than 3 foot by 5 foot.
Hey, did God give Moses one of those little wrenches like you get from IKEA?
I doubt it.
Yeah, that's too bad. Those are really helpful.
They are,
Hey,
but...
did I tell you about the time I got thrown out of IKEA?
No, what did you do?
I asked the girl working there, hey, how much for a one-night stand?
On top of the Ark were cherubim. Sometimes you'll see these depicted as angels, sometimes as winged sphinxes. The face of a man, the body of a lion, and the wings of an eagle.
Make 2 cherubim out of hammered gold at the ends of the cover. The cherubim are to have their wings spread upward, overshadowing the cover with them. The cherubim are to face each other. Place the cover on top of the ark and put in the ark the tablets of the covenant law that I will give you.
A gold box filled with stones sounds pretty heavy.
It'll probably weigh about 500 pounds, maybe more. And God gave instructions on how it should be transported.
Cast 4 gold rings for it and fasten them to its 4 feet with 2 rings on one side and 2 rings on the other. Then make poles of acacia wood and overlay them with gold. Insert the poles into the rings on the sides of the ark to carry it.
Look, I don't want to be a jerk, but it might have been easier to put the thing on wheels.
Well, maybe, but God wanted it to be carried by 4 priests of the Levite tribe.
Boy, those priests must have been jacked, huh? Can you imagine the calves on these guys?
I'd rather not.
Yeah, and the Levite priests, who were appointed to carry the ark of the Lord, were not weak of body nor feeble of limb, for they had heeded the words of the Lord, thou shalt not skip leg day.
The ark was extremely dangerous. It had to be kept far away from where the Israelites camped, 2,000 cubits.
Which is?
Half a mile. Anyone who touched it would be killed instantly if they were lucky. If they weren't lucky, they would die in agony. But when we analyze the way the ark is described in the Bible, the materials used in its construction, the way it looked, the way it sounded, the way it killed people, it doesn't sound paranormal or supernatural. Actually, the Ark of the Covenant sounds like technology. There are a few theories that suggest the Ark of the Covenant may have been a technological device. One theory says the ark was an electrical capacitor. You build a capacitor by placing two conductive plates parallel to each other, with non-conductive material called a dielectric in between. The ark was built this way. The box was covered with gold on the inside and gold on the outside. Gold is a good conductor of electricity. The acacia wood in between the gold would serve as the dielectric. It's possible the ark could store and discharge electricity. According to this theory, the ark may have been used to generate lightning or electric shocks, which would have been seen as a manifestation of the power of God. In fact, there's a story in the Bible about a man named Uzzah, one of the priests carrying the ark. During the journey, the ark looked like it might fall. Uzzah reached out to steady it. When he touched the ark, he was instantly killed in a way that sounds like he was electrocuted. Another theory suggests that the ark was a machine that could communicate with God.
And there I will meet with thee, and I will speak with thee from above the ark cover, from between the two cherubim which are upon the ark of the testimony.
The cherubim on the lid of the ark may have functioned as antennas by providing a large surface area for the conversion of electrical energy into radio waves. The gold coating would allow those waves to be transmitted more efficiently. And there's a theory that the ark used nuclear power, that it contained radioactive material such as uranium, which is found in the area. When uranium undergoes nuclear fission, it releases a massive amount of energy in the form of heat, light, and radiation. This energy can then be harnessed and used to power various devices or weapons. When the walls of Jericho came down, it was said to have been caused by the sound of the trumpets and the presence of the ark. According to this theory, the ark may have contained a radioactive substance that was triggered by sound waves that brought the walls down. Also, the priests who carried the ark had to wear a metallic breastplate and a metal apron, not unlike the lead blanket used when you get an x-ray.
And they wore metal clothes? Yeah, I'm telling you, these guys were jacked.
Also, whenever a priest approached the ark, he had to have a rope tied around his leg.
Around his jack leg.
This was in case the priest died. His body could then be dragged away from the ark. There's even more evidence that the ark was radioactive. In the book of 1 Samuel, the Philistines and Israelites were engaged in a fierce battle. The Israelites brought out the Ark of the Covenant, believing it would bring them divine protection and victory in the battle. But God didn't command this, so the Ark didn't work. The Philistines won the battle and took the Ark to their own city, Ashdod. As soon as the Ark arrived, people's skin became infected with painful tumors.
And it was so that after they had carried it about, the hand of the Lord was against the city with a very great discomfiture. And he smote the men of the city, both small and great, and emerods broke out upon them.
Break out of hemorrhoids, huh? They make a cream for that.
Emerods. Emerods are tumors that sound a lot like radiation burns. Then illness swept through the city. That sounds like radiation sickness. The Philistines believed that the ark was cursed and moved it to another city, Gath. But the tumors and sickness continued. Then they moved it to Ekron. The tumors continued. Finally, the Philistines sent the ark back to the Israelites, along with gold and incense.
They sent therefore and gathered together all the lords of the Philistines, and they said, "Send away the ark of the God of Israel, and let it go back to its own place."
When the ark was traveling, it was set up in a portable sanctuary called a tabernacle. This was an elaborate tent made of woven fabrics and gold. The ark was always shrouded. It was too dangerous to be gazed upon. When the ark was returned from the Philistines, some men got curious and looked at the ark when they weren't supposed to. 70 of them were struck down by the Lord.
If Indy says don't look, you really shouldn't look.
Good advice. For a time, the Israelites experienced a period of peace and stability. But the ark remained a powerful symbol of the Israelites' covenant with God and their faith. The ark was eventually moved to Jerusalem, where a temple was built. The ark was then placed in the Holy of Holies, the innermost chamber of the temple. The ark remained there for over 300 years, and it played a central role in Israelite religious life. And then suddenly, it's gone. In 587 BC, after a 30-month siege, the city of Jerusalem fell to the Babylonian army. The Babylonians then looted the temple's treasures and burned the building to the ground. The Babylonians kept meticulous records of everything they took from Jerusalem. And even though the Ark of the Covenant was stored in the temple, it wasn't on the list. And that's where the Ark disappears from history. So if the Babylonians didn't take it, who did? And where is it today? Some people think the answer lies on the infamous Copper Scroll. When the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered, most were made of papyrus and contained religious stories not found in the Bible. But one of the scrolls was very different. It was made of copper. According to Ark hunter Jim Barfield, the Copper Scroll does not contain the Word of God.
The Copper Scroll is not a Bible story. On that copper, they have hammered instructions to find treasures from the Temple of Solomon, which I believe includes the Ark of the Covenant.
Barfield believes that while the Babylonians were attacking, the treasures of the Temple of Solomon were quietly taken out of the city. Among those treasures was the Ark of the Covenant. The book of 2nd Maccabees says that the prophet Jeremiah did exactly this. Underneath the Temple Mount is a vast network of tunnels. But even though miles of tunnels have been explored, none were ever found that would serve as an escape route from the temple. But in 2007, that would change. A new tunnel was found that runs from the Temple Mount to the Kidron Valley, well outside the city. From Kidron, the Ark could have been taken to a town called Qumran. This also happens to be the place where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. The Copper Scroll lists 64 places in and around Qumran where treasures might have been hidden. One place is described as steps, east, 40 cubits long. And buried under those steps, according to the Copper Scroll, is over 1,000 pounds of silver. Barfield found the steps. Then he found another location that describes a well and a courtyard. Under the courtyard is buried 33 tons of polished gold. He found the courtyard. He found the well. Jim Barfield brought his evidence to the local authorities and asked permission to dig at the site, but he was refused. Later, he went back with a metal detector tuned to look for gold and silver. When he got near the location, the metal detector went crazy. Again, he asked permission to dig. Again, he was refused. Barfield was certain that there was a third site containing even more treasure, including the Ark. Using the first two locations as waypoints, he drew a straight line to a cave in a nearby hill. The cave appeared to be sealed shut, but intentionally. Barfield then took a stone sample from the cave entrance and had it tested in a lab. The results were interesting.
I decided that I would take a sample of this stone and send it off to a lab in Skokie, Illinois, where we had it examined. And they find that it is man-made mortar in a common mixture and formula from that time frame. Why would somebody seal a random hill with concrete?
When he took the metal detector to the sealed cave, it registered 5 times the amount of metal that was detected at Qumran. Jim Barfield is firmly convinced that this is the location of the Ark of the Covenant. To this day, permission to dig has not been granted. But many Ark historians believe that if the Ark was in Qumran, that it's not there anymore. They believe the Ark was taken by a Catholic military order called the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon, more commonly known as the Knights Templar. During the Crusades, a new Catholic military order emerged, the Knights Templar. From the very beginning, the Templars were known for their secrecy and their mystery. They were also shrewd when it came to finance and politics. They convinced both the Pope and the city leaders of Jerusalem that they would protect Christian pilgrims making the journey to the Holy City. But as soon as the Knights Templar established their headquarters on the Temple Mount, they started digging. And they weren't looking for treasure. The Knights were obsessed with religious relics, and there was no greater prize than the Ark of the Covenant. The Templars were known for their use of caves and tunnels. And just recently, a structure was found in a cave system called Zedekiah's Cave. And this fortification was a guardhouse built to defend the Knights Templar if they had to escape the city. Legend says that they did indeed find the Ark and took it to their European headquarters in France, the famous Chartres Cathedral, and there it stayed for several hundred years. By the 14th century, the Knights Templar had lost most of their military power, but they had become wealthy from their banking practices. King Philip of France found himself deeply in debt to them, and in 1307, he convinced the Pope to move against the order and seize their assets. On October 13th, 1307, the Knights Templar were declared outlaws, and any found were arrested, tortured, and often executed. But when the Templars heard rumors that King Philip and the Pope were moving against them, they relocated the Ark yet again, this time to Scotland, where the Knights were welcomed by King Robert the Bruce. Robert the Bruce had been excommunicated by the church and was sympathetic to the Knights. So when the Knights Templar arrived in Scotland, they allied themselves with the wealthy and powerful Sinclair family. Together, they decided to build a place to keep the Ark of the Covenant safe, Rosslyn Chapel. And there's a lot about Rosslyn Chapel that connects to the Ark and the Holy Land. There are Templar motifs and sculptures all around the grounds. The chapel is laid out just like the first Temple of Solomon, but on a smaller scale. It has an inner Holy of Holies. This is where the Ark could have been kept, far away from the politics of Europe. But then, World War II. The Nazis were obsessed with the occult and religious relics.
It's just like the movie.
Well, Raiders got a lot of things right.
I am the monarch of the sea, the ruler of the Queen's Navy.
It's well documented that they searched for the Spear of Destiny, also known as the Holy Lance. This is the spear that is said to have pierced the side of Jesus as he hung on the cross during his crucifixion. They looked for the Holy Grail, the cup that Jesus used during the Last Supper. They sought the Shroud of Turin, the cloth used to wrap the body of Jesus after his crucifixion. The Germans wanted the menorah, the 7-branched candelabrum that was created during the Exodus. And of course, they sought the other object created during the time of Moses, the Ark of the Covenant. After they conquered France, the Germans engaged in major archaeological digs at Chartres Cathedral and other suspected locations of the Ark. After France was overrun, President Roosevelt of the United States arranged for the contents of Roslyn Chapel to be moved to the Americas where they could be better defended. So the Ark was sent from Scotland to New Scotland, also known as Nova Scotia, specifically to Oak Island. While this is just a legend, there is a complex system of caves and tunnels on Oak Island, and nobody knows exactly who put them there or what they were hiding. There are stories of the Ark ending up in Rome, where it sits on one of the 50 miles of shelves in the Vatican secret archives. Some say the Ark is buried on Mount Nebo in Jordan, where Moses died. An Irish legend says the Ark was brought to Ireland by the prophet Jeremiah and is now located in a secret chamber beneath the hill of Tara. Or Jeremiah took the Ark to Egypt, and it's now located in a hidden chamber beneath the Sphinx. But there's evidence that the Ark isn't hidden away in a cave, or a tomb, or a secret chamber. It's not hidden at all. For hundreds of years, the Ark has been in a church, in what might sound like an unlikely place for a Jewish artifact. The Ark of the Covenant is in Ethiopia. In the Bible, in the books of 1 Kings and 2 Chronicles, is the story of the Queen of Sheba. She was a wealthy and powerful queen who ruled over the Aksumite kingdom, located in what is now Ethiopia and Yemen. The Queen of Sheba heard of the great wisdom of King Solomon of Israel, and she traveled to Jerusalem to meet him. After witnessing the splendor of his kingdom, the Queen of Sheba returned home. That concludes the biblical account of the Queen of Sheba. But there's more to the story. The Kebra Nagast is an Ethiopian text that's at least 700 years old, and is considered by many Ethiopian Christians to be historically reliable. The text contains an account of how the Queen of Sheba not only met King Solomon, but had a son by him, named Menelik. At the age of 22, in about 950 BC, Menelik went to Jerusalem to meet his father. While there, Menelik's companions stole the Ark and replaced it with a replica. Solomon and Menelik both discovered the switch, but only after Menelik was flying back home, so there was nothing anyone could do about it.
I couldn't reach him because they put the Ark in airplane mode, huh?
No, the Ark with the power of God flew them home.
Ah.
The Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion in Aksum claims to possess the actual Ark of the Covenant. The Ark is never seen by outsiders. When the Holy of Holies was built around the Ark, the hallways were made too small intentionally. So the only way to remove the Ark is to destroy the church. Only one priest at a time serves as the guardian of the Ark, and only that priest is permitted to see it. The priest lives in the church for the rest of his life. Now, to be the custodian of the Ark is a great honor, but it's also a death sentence. Priests who guard the Ark have a very short lifespan. Once appointed a guardian, they typically live no more than 2 or 3 years. But before they die, they develop cataracts and go blind.
What would happen if someone did accidentally see the Ark?
Blind.
Would be blinded.
Yeah, a lot of miracles. Also,
bad miracles.
Yeah,
like would be
very high power.
Maybe being alone in a room for 2 years, they were doing something else that makes them go blind.
Don't be disrespectful. What's interesting is these symptoms are consistent with exposure to high levels of radiation. But if the Ark is in Ethiopia, it may no longer be in the church. In November 2020, war broke out between the Ethiopian government and the Tigray People's Liberation Front. The TPLF were rebels in Ethiopia, then rulers, then rebels again. The Tigray conflict saw atrocities committed on civilians perpetrated by both sides. When rebels approached the church in Aksum, at least 800 unarmed civilians rushed to protect it. They were slaughtered. An uneasy peace has been in place since November 2022, but it's difficult to get news out of the region. The priests in Aksum say the Ark is still safe within the walls of the church, but many locals say the Ark was stolen when the entire area was looted during the conflict. The priests won't allow anyone access to verify if the Ark is or isn't there. If the Ark of the Covenant is gone, then Ethiopia becomes another in a long list of places that had and lost the Ark. And even though the Ark of the Covenant is a religious artifact, Ark hunters aren't necessarily religious. The search for the Ark is of interest to people from all over the world, and perhaps even beyond it. The location of the Ark of the Covenant is a mystery that has endured for over 2,000 years, and that's plenty of time for the introduction of confusion and contradiction. Even the Bible has the Ark behaving differently at different times. It acted like a high-voltage capacitor that electrocuted Uzzah when he touched it. It was more like a heat ray that boiled away water when the Hebrews crossed the River Jordan. Then it was a powerful sonic weapon when it brought down the walls of Jericho.
When the walls come tumbling down, when the walls come crumbling when the walls come tumbling down.
Now, maybe it's all those things, depending on what's needed in the moment. But then the question becomes, what was the power source? If people near the Ark really did break out into tumors and boils and cataracts
And hemorrhoids.
Emeralds.
What I say?
If that's true, it sounds like the Ark housed an intensely radioactive device, a device that could be tuned to specific functions, including use as a weapon. But if that's true, where did Moses get it? And how did this technology exist thousands of years ago? It's been suggested that maybe the tablets containing the Ten Commandments were made of uranium, which exists in vast quantities in the deserts of the Middle East. But even if they were, raw uranium ore isn't dangerous. Only when it's refined is the radiation harmful. And I don't think it's controversial to say that the Israelites didn't have centrifuges and uranium enrichment technologies. Now, about the cataracts developed by the priests in Ethiopia. Cataracts can be developed 1 or 2 years after high radiation exposure. That's true. But it's also true that people who live at high altitudes are at greater risk of cataracts. The thinner atmosphere offers less protection from the sun's harmful rays, which damage the eyes. The city of Axum, where the Ark is supposedly housed, is almost 7,000 feet above sea level, making it one of the highest altitude cities in the world. And there are other problems with the Ethiopian claim. Edward Uhlendorf was a professor of Ethiopian studies at the University of London, and he said in a 1992 interview that he personally saw the Ark held within the church at Axum. This was in 1941 while he was serving as an officer in the British Army. He said they have a wooden box. It wasn't ancient, and it certainly wasn't the original Ark. Every Christian church in Ethiopia has a replica of the Ark of the Covenant, as do many churches around the world. Professor Uhlendorf assumed that the Ark at Axum is nothing more than one of these replicas. But the professor didn't provide any proof that he actually saw the Ark. So, like many stories about the Ark of the Covenant, we have nothing to go on but the word of the person telling the story. The story of the Knights Templar hiding the Ark at Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland is one of my favorites. But the chapel wasn't built until 1446, almost 150 years after the Templars were disbanded. Now, defenders of the Rosslyn story will say that the Ark was kept somewhere else until the chapel was built. Then it was placed there. Now, that's fine, it's still a great story, but there's no proof of any of that. Locations like Oak Island, the Vatican, Ireland, and other alleged hiding places of the Ark are just stories. Now, I'm not saying that they're wrong, but there's no hard evidence to support any of those locations. The mainstream view is that the Ark probably existed. Remember we talked about the menorah, which was created at the same time as the Ark? Well, in 70 AD, Emperor Titus of Rome marched on Jerusalem, and after a 5-month siege, the Roman soldiers breached the walls and poured into the city. The soldiers looted and burned everything in sight, including the Second Temple. Titus was hailed as a conquering hero, and a monument was built in his honor, the Arch of Titus, which still stands, depicting the spoils of war carried off from the temple in Jerusalem. Among the spoils is the menorah. Now, some have claimed that the other object being carried by the soldiers is the Ark, but it's not. That's the table of showbread, also known as the table of the presence. And this was a large table made of acacia wood overlaid with gold. And on the table were placed 12 loaves of bread that were replaced every Sabbath. What's interesting about the table is God gave Moses instructions to build it. At the same time, he gave instructions to build the menorah and the Ark of the Covenant. And all those objects were stored in the same place, the Holy of Holies in the Temple of Jerusalem. If the Ark was looted, it would have been depicted on the arch. The Romans knew how important the Ark was to the Hebrews. They would have wanted to steal it to humiliate the Jewish people. So why wasn't the Ark there when Titus invaded? Most scholars believe it was taken by the Babylonians in 587 BC, but there's no proof of this. The Babylonians kept lists of everything stolen from Jerusalem, and the Ark wasn't on any of the lists. So if the Ark of the Covenant still exists, the most logical place for it to be is in a cave or tunnel hidden somewhere deep under the Temple Mount. But permission to dig will likely never be granted. The site is considered sacred by Jews, Christians, and Muslims, and any damage to the site would be seen as an affront to these religions, or worse, a provocation. But maybe that's for the best. Zechariah was a prophet who lived during the time of the Second Temple in Jerusalem, and many of his prophecies are related to the return of the Ark of the Covenant. And the return of the Ark is also mentioned in Revelation.
Then God's temple in heaven was opened, and within his temple was seen the Ark of his covenant. And there came flashes of lightning, rumblings, peals of thunder, an earthquake, and a great hailstorm.
The return of the Ark happens at the end of the world. Now that might sound dramatic, but think about what would happen if the Ark was discovered by Muslims, or if it was discovered by Jews, or by Christians. What people would be the best stewards of the Ark? Everyone would want it, but whose decision is that to make? The discovery of the Ark could be the spark that ignites war in the region, which could possibly escalate to World War III. And the next thing you know, the end time prophecies are coming true. Now, I'm fascinated by the Ark, and I'd love to know where it is. But for now, the location of the Ark of the Covenant remains a mystery. And for all our sakes, let's hope it stays that way. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. My name is AJ. You know Hecklefish.
Shalom.
This has been the Y-Files. If you had fun or learned anything... Shalom. That was nice. That was nice of him. I like that episode. I forgot how much I like that one, but it's just because I'm such a fan of the Ark stories. What did you vote on for? So AI Apocalypse and Sixth Extinction are back and forth tied, with Cozy Rev Mirror just behind. Now they're both tied exactly at 30%.
Two. That's it. That's it. That's it. With your arms now. That's it. That's it. Move.
You gotta stay limber.
You
Gotta stay
do.
limber in between.
Oh boy, it's live stream amateur hour again.
Did you hear Victoria yell
No,
during the episode?
no, I mute my mic.
Ah.
All right, it's AI Apocalypse by 1%. Do I click it? Some people were saying AI Apocalypse is too depressing, but Sixth Extinction is. It's not too depressing, you don't think?
No, I said it's a little depressing.
Oh, I think most of our episodes can drift into the dark. Indrid Cold is a definite no. Cozy Rev Mirrors is at 27%, so a close third. But AI Apocalypse is up by 1. Barney Cutie Pie, I think it's going to be AI Apocalypse. Dylan said, but I watched it last night, though. All right, I'll let that run for another couple of minutes while we catch up on some super chats. There's Derek Haley for 5. Started watching about a month ago. Whoa, welcome. Now I'm a lifer. Haha, you and Heckle make the day worth it. Thanks, Derek. Welcome to the Madhouse.
Nice.
Go jump on Discord and say hello. Rinse Windle, 5 pound. Love the Wi-Fi's as always. Wishing you and family a very Merry Christmas. Thank you so much.
I love his profile pic. That's one of my favorites.
Is that Robin Hood?
It is.
That was a good one.
That was a good one.
Not as good as Kevin Costner, but at least close second.
Well,
there's Han Weggeller. For you, 11 euros. Hi, thank you for your entertaining content. A little bit of shame, my friend. Bit of. Zeb is back. If y'all have audio issues, maybe Jen and AJ can do a scene from Princess Bride. Liar, liar, liar. Would be fun to watch you do it.
Liar.
Have fun storming the castle.
Goodbye.
Scott Lopez for 10. Deep gratitude from New Mexico. I liked the way Scott just he'll throw the space bar in whenever he doesn't. You zig, but Scott zags. He'll hit that space bar whenever he wants.
That's right.
You don't try to stop him.
He doesn't follow your rule.
Beck, did someone mention Wi-Fi Con? If so, I need to start saving up for bail money now. The first Wi-Con is. I'm sorry, I overtalked someone.
No, go ahead.
The first Wi-Con is probably going to be in Vegas, and most likely we'll do a live stream from the drive-in out here.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely save up for bail, but you won't have to save up for the show. All my reps and agents and team are going to yell at me, but I'm not charging for it. It's going to be free. Fish salad for $5. Love the format of your shows. I appreciate your ability to present a compelling story and leave it to the viewer to decide validity on their own. You're welcome, Bish. I try to never condescend here because it annoys me when I watch these stories from a creator and they're presenting it with kind of a snarky attitude. It's condescending and I don't think they realize it makes them look bad because they're making the story about them and how smart they are. I want to hear the story. I don't need you to tell me that I'm stupid for listening to it.
Right.
There's Joseph for 10, loves the channel. Merry Christmas to you, Joe. Or happy solstice for the pagans. Plenty of pagans here today. And every time I think of pagans, you could think of so many things. I mean, you could think of the motorcycle.
I know what I think of. If you think of the same thing, I'm going to freak out.
Dragnet.
Yes!
Dragnet.
Why?
Dragnet. Oh, because... So Tom Hanks and Dan Aykroyd.
What is this? What is all this stuff? It's milk. Rich, wholesome milk. Milk? I hate milk. Of course you hate it, Mr. Gingivitis. Is Bobby Thompson for 10. I was a huge fan of Art Bell back in the day and always loved a good story. Thank you for carrying on this tradition. You're welcome, Bobby. Those are big shoes to fill. And I don't think anyone will ever film. I don't think we'll ever see another Art Bell again. Clark Family for 10. Your videos are the best on YouTube. Thank you for all the work you put in. Merry Christmas. Thank you for noticing the work. Well, it looks like AI Apocalypse is the winner.
Oh.
Jason A. Goathead equals pagan.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Virgin Connie Swale.
It was Christopher Plummer, wasn't it?
The goat pagan. So anyway, they go to this ritual and they're pagans and they're all dressed like pagans and there's a sacrifice and all this stuff. It's very funny.
Juan Doming for 5. Check out the Michael Heiser on aliens and demons. Good video to get lots of content, rich material. I will write that one down. I mean, getting a lot of good notes today. There is DE Ultra for 20. Merry Christmas from Savannah. Down your chat. Is there music on?
No.
You have music in your office? It's in your brains. Found your channel back in spring, and you've single-handedly made my 23 better. Looking forward to a great 24. Well, that makes me happy to hear. That's why we're here. We're here for fun. Just checking the chat. At the Waff House, is that a zombie Elvis on Vito's shelf?
It's a zombie Elvis on Gino's shelf.
Riding hecklefish.
Riding heckle. I like calling Gino Vito though. That sounds even more Italian, right?
is that Gino's never cut the tag off his leg. That's my favorite.
No, you have to keep the tag on.
Oh, no,
Because
that's
it
hecklefish.
Elvis's leg.
loses its value.
On
You got to keep the
Elvis's
tag on.
leg.
The hecklefish,
Oh,
the plushies, those are the new Beanie Babies.
Ugh.
Tom, sorry you're having trouble with the website, but I think the plushies are back to pre-order. I think those sold out for the holidays. They're back to pre-order. Sorry about that.
They did.
Hank Meyer, the tag is still on my hecklefish. Yeah, it's they're like the Beanie Babies. You got to keep the tag on there.
It's on
Absolutely.
my hecklefish. I meant the Elvis.
Yeah.
There's you, Tracy, for 20. Merry Christmas, Waff House family. Great to watch along while wrapping presents. I hate wrapping presents.
I love it.
I love it.
Oh, you do? I would have had you wrap Gino's gift. I just threw it on his desk. Like, here's your frickin' Christmas present. There you go.
Happy freaking holidays.
Happy frickin' holidays. Here's your frickin' Christmas. Are you watching the show through those?
Jack, I know that the plushies won't ship until February because we're running up against Chinese New Year now. So,
Yeah.
So supply chain's going to fall apart for a bit.
Yup.
Yep. There is Harold Blafield for $100.
That's me in the fishbowl. That's me on the YouTube, begging you for money. I need to buy a little more booze, and I don't know if I can do it. Oh no, I need $10. I haven't got enough.
Harold says, Merry Christmas. I'm new on the show and love your onions.
What?
Does he love my onions?
Mm-hmm.
I have great onions. Opinions?
Yeah.
Okay. Merry Christmas to you, Harold. Thank you for the generous donation. Every little bit helps. Someone in the chat was apologizing for only sending $2, but it means a lot that you do that.
Yes.
So we do appreciate it. And if you are going through a financial issue like many of our viewers are, then please do not super chat.
Yeah.
Do not super chat. Hold on to your dough.
Gino, your mic's not on.
That's all right. We're about to go do a little watch along.
Can I say something? So Jake P was asking.
That's me in the fishbowl. That's
Sorry,
me
that
on
was
the
that was not intentional.
JP was asking, or Jake P was asking if we would ever do personal interviews with people that like we've done stories on or whatever. And in the new year, we're going to start doing a podcast on Fridays where it's going to be like sort of a free form where we're going to have guests and we're going to have interviews, we're going to have call-ins and stuff like that. So that's when we would talk to those people. So we're very excited about that.
I hear ping
there's-
pong.
I don't know what you're talking about.
AJ, he does that. He plays the ping pong sound when he thinks I'm talking too long.
No. I don't even know. I don't even hear it. Wayne Masick for 20. Thank you for all you and your team do. No Christmas Day live stream. If not, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I will be here on Christmas Day. If anyone is just wants a little company or you want to hide from the family, I will be here on Christmas Day. But Gino just doing a little Christmas FU right there, huh?
Yeah.
Little Irish goodbye.
I thought you kicked him off. I was getting ready to say bye.
No, he's like completely gone.
Oh, maybe he restarted his computer.
He did.
By the way, that's my face on him.
And no, it's not AJ doing blackface. It was this app called Reface where you could put your face on a bunch of different stuff. It was actually very fun. So
Neemser says, super appreciate all the hard work you and the team put into crafting such a fantastic show and community. Merry Christmas. Thanks, Neemser. Best community in the business. Check out the Discord. It's free to join. How many members are we up to? We're over 500 by now.
We're at 34,000.
34,000. Okay. So there's always something going on there. And Gino's on there a lot, always looking to hear weird stories. All right. Looks like sixth extinction is next.
woohoo!
And then I guess we'll come back and say goodnight.
Of all the species that have ever existed on Earth, 99% of them are gone. Most of those were wiped out during what are known as mass extinction events.
I'm sick of hearing this guy's voice.
Since life emerged on our planet, there have been 5 mass extinctions. Sometimes these events last many years, but sometimes a mass extinction can happen very, very suddenly. Some scientists think we're on the verge of a 6th mass extinction. Others think it's already begun. But the question everybody asks is there anything we can do to stop it?
Ha! Cliffhanger. Okay, now what?
Oh, thank Neptune you answered. I need you on my 6.
Oh, I'm kind of busy here, pal.
Then you leave me no choice.
What? No, you wouldn't.
I'm calling in my marker.
Oh, come on. That was 8 years ago.
Huh, let's see what your wife thinks.
Okay, fine. I'm rolling now. Give me 30 seconds.
Okay, where are you? Drop a pin.
I'm in Doom Tower. The Sarath is leaking back into the world, and the Arbiter can't keep the wards up. Doom Tower is fallen, and she needs help keeping these bad guys in here, especially the bosses, like the Scarab King.
I didn't know that there was going to be spots in this, but so I apologize for that. They're not paying us for this, but I have to admit I find them entertaining. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Doom Tower, call her the Arbiter. She needs champions, and we must answer the call.
Wait, are you talking about a video game?
I'm talking about the video game, Raid Shadow Legends. Get your butt in this game, pick a champion, and help me out here.
Hold on. Is this today's sponsor?
Yep, it's a super cool, super detailed tactical RPG battle system available on iOS and Android for free. And it's got PvE and PvP content.
I do like PvP.
I know you do. Now look at this. Raid Call of the Arbiter is their new limited series out now. And to celebrate, Raid has added some characters from the show as new playable champions. One of them, Artak, you can get for free just by logging into the game for 7 days between now and July 24th. And if you join now by clicking the link and scanning the QR code, you'll get a free starter pack with an epic champion Drake and his cool in-game loot.
Okay, I'm joining now, but seriously, where are you? How in the world? Okay, pal, hang on, I'm coming.
Now first we gotta do a battle cry. Yahtzee!
I'm not doing that.
Oh, come on, Yahtzee!
Yahtzee.
Yahtzee!
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 Now you're ready.
The Earth is always changing. There's the climate, there's... Excuse me?
Oh, I've been hearing this for years.
No, that's not what I've...
If the climate gets colder, you'll be fine.
Why's that?
Because you're covered in wool.
Oh, because I'm a...
Yeah. First Al Gore told me that in 5 years, the polar bears would be sunburned and everything would be underwater. That was 30 years ago.
You're missing
I
my-
can't drive an SUV, but oh sure, those big shots can take their private jets to Davos so they can wag their finger in my face.
I'm not saying...
Drive an electric car. It's green. Okay, fine. Where do you think the electric comes from? The electric fairy? It comes from coal. You want more clean energy? Build nuclear plants, you moron.
You're not...
It's a scam. I can't believe you're still falling for this.
My point is, man-made or not, the climate is always changing.
Oh.
Okay?
Yeah, sorry. I gotta stay off Twitter for a while.
That's always a good idea. It's not just the climate of the Earth that's changing, but also the core within the Earth, as well as the ground beneath our feet. The science of earthquakes is called seismology, but seismology is not an exact science. Seismologists and geologists think they know how earthquakes work and what causes them, but they're not able to predict them with any consistency. If they could, they would. Let's add up the deaths from 3 large, fairly recent earthquakes. The 1976 Tangshan earthquake in China, the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami, the 2010 Haiti earthquake. On the low end, those 3 events killed 700,000 people, but that number is probably closer to 1.2 million. Let that sink in for a minute. It's important. Those aren't numbers. Those are people. They're infants, the elderly, entire families. In one day, 1 million people are just gone. You would think that mainstream science would be open to new ideas that could help predict these disasters. You would think they would entertain alternative theories that could save millions of lives. You would think so, but you would be wrong. The history of science is filled with alternative theories that were once ridiculed but are now accepted. The idea of continental drift was called nonsense. An asteroid impact killing the dinosaurs was called science fiction. At one time, if you said the Earth orbits the sun, the church might seize your property and throw you in prison. Things haven't changed all that much. A mass extinction is defined as an event where at least 75% of species on Earth are wiped out. There's evidence of 5 major mass extinctions that have occurred throughout Earth's history. The first was 450 million years ago. Another was 375 million years ago. The most catastrophic extinction, known as the Great Dying, took place 252 million years ago. During the Great Dying, a staggering 96% of all life on Earth was wiped out. Another event was 201 million years ago, and 66 million years ago was the infamous KT asteroid impact, which killed off the dinosaurs. On average, these mass extinctions happen about every 75 million years. While some causes of these events have been identified, some remain a mystery. In addition to the major extinctions, many smaller events have also occurred. For centuries, scientists have been debating what causes these events and changes to the Earth. There are 2 camps. There are the gradualists or uniformitarians. They argue that Earth changes occur slowly over an extended period, like mountains being formed slowly as rock is pushed up from the Earth's mantle. Then those mountains are slowly weathered away by erosion. In the other camp are catastrophists. They claim that Earth changes happen quickly and through dramatic events. Events like asteroid impacts, widespread volcanic eruptions, pole shifts, and massive solar flares. In other words, the scary stuff. Throughout history, catastrophists have been ridiculed by the gradualists, but there's mounting evidence to suggest that catastrophists may be onto something. Researchers like Graham Hancock, Randall Carlson, Robert Schoch, John Anthony West, and many others have presented compelling arguments that Earth changes happen suddenly rather than over eons.
Here, what you have to visualize is a tsunami sweeping over the land that's over 1,000 feet deep. Wow.
There are recent events that support these claims. In January 2023, seismic data published by Chinese scientists hinted at a recent slowdown or even a halt in the rotation of the Earth's core. The Earth's core is huge, about the size of Mars. It's made of an inner core, which is mostly solid iron, and the outer core, which is molten iron and nickel. The interaction between the inner and outer core produces a geodynamo, which generates the Earth's magnetic field. If the core slows down or stops, the consequences would be severe. In another episode, I described exactly what would happen. There's a link below, but I have to warn you, it's terrifying. But after the initial disaster resulting from a pole shift, animals and even technology could adapt. But there is a theory that the speed and direction of the Earth's core affect more than the magnetic field. The theory says core changes are linked to more devastating events, like earthquakes. And if this theory is right, life on Earth is about to become very different. Jim Birkeland was a professional geologist who worked for the United States Geological Survey, or USGS. He became prominent in the 1980s when he started making specific predictions about upcoming earthquakes. He first came to the public's attention on October 13th, 1989. That day, he gave an interview where he predicted a major earthquake would hit Northern California between October 14th and October 21st of that year.
While the Bay Area is rumbling with excitement over the first ever Bay Bridge World Series, the Earth may be putting on a show. A Tony geologist is predicting an earthquake to hit the Bay Area anytime from tomorrow to the 21st of October. It will be the World Series quake, according to Santa Clara County geologist Jim Birkeland. The trembler, he predicts, could be anywhere from 3.5 to 6.0 on the Richter scale. Birkeland is basing his prediction on the unusual gravitational pull of the moon and Earth.
Birkeland was right. The 6.9 magnitude earthquake occurred on October 17th, just 4 days later, and right in the middle of Birkeland's window, and right in the middle of the World Series.
Candy Maldonado with the hesitation, allowing Jose Canseco to score, and he fails to get Dave Parker at second base, so the Oakland A's take. I'll tell you what,
After that, Birkeland was told by government officials to stop making predictions because he might create a mass panic. At the time, he was working as a geologist for Santa Clara County, but 2 weeks after his prediction, he was suspended from his job. But he didn't stop making predictions. He successfully called the Northridge earthquake that hit San Francisco in 1994, and he predicted a large earthquake in Seattle. After that, he was asked to leave his job. But people were still interested in how he was making his predictions. Birkeland believed that gravitational forces and tidal stresses from the moon played a role in triggering earthquakes. His predictions factored in high tides, new and full moons. He also noticed a correlation between seismic activity and animal behavior. His theory was magnetic fields fluctuate just before a quake, which causes these behavioral changes, especially in fish, birds, dogs, and cats. Mainstream geologists reject all of this and say that Birkeland's predictions are not scientific. They say earthquakes are caused by pressure within the Earth's crust. And when that pressure is released as energy, we get an earthquake. But that's like saying an earthquake is when the ground shakes. It's a description, not an explanation. What's causing the release of the pressure? Meteorologist Kevin Martin of the Southern California Weather Authority also wanted to know this answer. He thought there could be a connection between earthquakes, weather, and solar activity. He made a prediction in 2009.
In fact, during the Northridge quake of 1994, a large ridge of high pressure was carved in the exact same spot one will be during our next Santa Ana wind event. The window for that is January 9th to the 14th. This is exactly in geologist Jim Birkeland's window. So any bets on the table for a larger quake would be during that window. Now, I'm not saying to my viewers to run because a Northridge-style quake is coming, but I must say the pattern is nearly identical to it. And if weather patterns are any indication of a quake delivery, then always be prepared. In light of Mr. Birkeland's window falling in this weather pattern, I have taken the measure to prepare in case a quake hits. You always have to be prepared.
Kevin Martin and Jim Birkeland were both right. On January 9th, 2009, there were 2 earthquakes in almost exactly the place where they predicted. Birkeland's model gained further support as the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami earthquake and the 2023 Turkey earthquake occurred during full moons. Mainstream geologists like to point out that Birkeland was occasionally wrong, both in the intensity and timing of his predictions. But he was also frequently right. And how many earthquake predictions have mainstream geologists made that have been right?
0.
0. Birkeland's success and mainstream science's lack of success indicates that our thinking about what causes earthquakes is incomplete. If there are other factors, why aren't they being explored? Is it because mainstream scientists are afraid of being wrong? Or maybe scientists are afraid of something else? On September 3rd, 2017, the United States Geological Survey reported an earthquake with a magnitude of 6.3 not far from a North Korean nuclear test site. South Korean authorities said the earthquake seemed to be artificial, consistent with an underground nuclear test. North Korea confirmed that it had detonated a 15-kiloton hydrogen bomb, and this came as a terrifying surprise to the diplomatic, intelligence, and defense communities.
Oh, would you say it sent shock waves through the world?
I would, but...
This test was a seismic shift in the region that rocked the foundations of diplomacy?
Puns, great.
Oh, so this test shook the world to its core and had other countries quaking in their boots?
You done?
I got a few more, actually.
I swear I will wring your...
Okay. I'll stop. You know I only do that to see the look in your stupid face, right?
Real nice.
Hey, let me ask you. Is it irony that I'm the fish, but you're the one that keeps taking the bait?
That's it. No one had suspected that North Korea had reached that level of advancement with its nuclear weapons program. Then, just a few weeks later, in October 2017, the entire underground Korean nuclear facility collapsed after a massive earthquake. More than 200 people were killed, including most of North Korea's nuclear scientists. Within a few months, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un said his country was open to discussing peace with South Korea and the United States, and the possibility of giving up its nuclear weapons program. In June, a new peace treaty was signed. After his nuclear lab and top scientists were killed in that earthquake, Kim Jong-un had no choice but to negotiate. That worked out nicely for the United States. But what if the earthquake and destruction of the nuclear facility wasn't a natural event? What if the earthquake was caused by a new type of weapon? For years, rumors swirled that the United States had developed a highly advanced sonic weapon. Using sound waves, it could superheat the Earth's upper atmosphere and communicate with military units and submarines at sea. It could alter the weather, and yes, believe it or not, induce earthquakes. The weapon is known as HAARP.
HAARP?
Yes, HAARP.
Oh, the club for old people.
No, that's something else.
Ah.
HAARP stands for High Amplitude Active Auroral Research Program. It's a program that researches the ionosphere, the upper layer of the atmosphere, which ranges from about 30 miles to 600 miles above the Earth's surface. According to the original HAARP website, there is an emphasis on being able to enhance communications and surveillance systems for both civilian and defense purposes.
Surveillance using the ionosphere? That doesn't sound good.
Well, that's why there are a lot of rumors about HAARP. The HAARP website acknowledged that experiments were conducted to fire directed beams of energy in order to temporarily excite a limited area of the ionosphere. Now, disturbing the ionosphere could have major and even disastrous consequences for the environment. HAARP was very active in the days and hours leading up to Hurricane Katrina making landfall in 2005. Hurricanes are energized by heat. The specific function of HAARP is to heat or energize the upper atmosphere. Now, did HAARP affect the hurricane? Well, we don't know. Could it have? Sure. Later that same year, HAARP was intensely active when Hurricane Ophelia started behaving in strange ways. It changed directions multiple times against all normal meteorological predictions. It was almost as if something was playing around with Ophelia to see if they could manipulate its intensity and direction. In 2008, a rare July hurricane named Bertha suddenly formed off the coast of Africa. It was a very low-level storm, but then the HAARP transmitters fired up. Within 8 hours, Bertha went from a weak Category 1 to an intense Category 4 storm. Almost as soon as HAARP was shut down, Bertha calmed down and weakened. Kevin Martin had already made the connection between electrical storms, high-pressure systems, and weather in earthquake events. Jim Birkeland showed that tidal forces and gravitational effects were connected to earthquakes. But could a device like HAARP be capable of doing both? Well, that had yet to be tested until 2008. Cyclone Nargis began just a few days after HAARP resumed activity at 5:45 in the morning on April 27, 2008. On April 28th, the storm was basically stationary. By April 29th, Nargis had sustained winds of 100 miles per hour and began moving. It turned rapidly eastward, intensified, and reached peak winds of 135 miles an hour. On May 2nd, it made landfall at maximum strength. It maintained winds of at least 80 miles an hour for hours before it dissipated. The HAARP energy activity continued for days. It finally stopped late in the day on May 11th. About 8 hours later in Chengdu, China, there were reports of strange animal behavior. Iridescent glowing clouds suddenly appeared. Now, if you drew a straight line from Nargis's path as it made landfall, you'd hit Chengdu. Suddenly, a massive earthquake hit Chengdu with a magnitude of 8.0 and caused a chain reaction of explosions in the Shuan Mountains. These explosions destroyed the Chinese army's largest armory and their newest weapons test bases. Nuclear facilities that reportedly included several nuclear warheads were also severely damaged. After carefully analyzing the seismic data, experts said the energy released was equivalent to that of an underground nuclear explosion. They claimed that non-geological shock had occurred at the earthquake epicenter.
Non-geological?
Unnatural.
Uh-oh.
Over those 2 weeks, the Nargis cyclone and Chengdu earthquake claimed the lives of more than 160,000 people and severely damaged China's military infrastructure. Today, HAARP is still in use and is run by the University of Alaska Fairbanks, but that's relatively new. Prior to 2014, it was under the direct control of the United States Department of Defense. Now, all of this is speculation and rumor. And of course, the US military and government say that HAARP is nothing more than a radio tower to monitor the ionosphere. But it cost $300 million to build in 1993. That's almost $700 million in today's dollars.
That's an awful lot of scratch for a radio tower.
It sure is. There's so much more to talk about regarding the HAARP project, and it needs its own video. So if you'd like to see that, let me know in the comments. Now, whether by controlling the weather or deploying nuclear weapons, the human race certainly has the ability to destroy all civilization on Earth. But even with all that technology and firepower, it's not enough to kill off 75% of all life on Earth. A true extinction level event of that magnitude is not going to come from here. It's going to come from out there. There are a lot of interesting numeric coincidences in astronomy. For instance, the moon's diameter is 2,160 miles. That's just the right diameter, and the moon is just far enough away to create nearly perfect solar eclipses. 2,160 years also happens to be the exact length of each astronomical age in the precession of equinoxes. Earth's cycle of precession, the arc around which the North Pole wobbles, moves about 1 degree every 72 years. This completes a full cycle called the Great Year, or the cycle of precession, in 25,920 years, or about 26,000 years. According to best estimates, the sun resides 26,000 light years from the center of the galaxy. One orbit of the solar system around the center of the galaxy takes about 260 million years. What we see are called decimal harmonics of the number 26 over and over again. Now, most scientists would agree that these numbers are meaningless. They're just a coincidence. But what if they're not? What if they're trying to tell us something very important about our future? There are a collection of experiments that may show that these numbers have some kind of special meaning. When physicists can't explain things seen through telescopes, theories have to be created. Some of these theories are based on math and can explain quite a bit. But sometimes the math doesn't work, and the theories get more creative. One example of this is the phenomenon of dark matter. The idea of dark matter comes from scientists who agreed that they found a connection between mass, the physical stuff, and gravity. But a problem began when they started looking at other stars and galaxies and got clearer and clearer images. There just isn't enough stuff to create enough gravity to hold everything together. Galaxies and solar systems should be flying apart based on all the energy and momentum they're generating. So instead of simply abandoning the idea that there was a direct connection between mass and gravity, they came up with a new idea, dark matter. The gravity is obviously out there, so all this missing matter must also be out there. It's just invisible. We can't see it or detect it with any type of instrument.
Oh, so there's no proof of dark matter?
None. And there are plenty of experiments that show there are other forces at work in the universe that mainstream physicists aren't accounting for. In the days before communication satellites, shortwave radio was crucial for long-distance communication. Shortwave transmissions are high-frequency radio signals that can be bounced off the Earth's ionosphere. Those signals can bounce over and over again, covering large distances. This is called signal propagation, and this allows operators to talk to each other all over the world. The Radio Corporation of America, or RCA, noticed that the quality of shortwave transmissions changed quite a bit depending on sunspot cycles. The more sunspots, the more the magnetic field of the sun seemed to interfere with shortwave transmissions. When the sun was quiet, shortwave radio was, and is, much more reliable. Now, during World War II, the potential communications blackout that sunspots and solar storms might cause was of great concern for the armed forces. You can't plan a major offensive assault against the enemy if there's a chance your comms might go down. So a radio engineer at RCA named John Nelson was asked to come up with a method of predicting when the storms would occur. What Nelson discovered was a surprise. He found that radio interference rose and fell not just with the sunspot cycles, but also with the motions of the major planets in the solar system. This was a revolutionary idea. His study found that the relative positions of the gas giants like Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune seemed to have the most dramatic effects on the signals.
You forgot one.
What?
A gas giant, you forgot one. Uranus. Uranus has got a lot of gas.
Right, it's a gas ice giant like Neptune.
So what? You don't want to forget Uranus.
Please don't.
What? Don't be shy about Uranus. Be proud of Uranus.
Stop it.
Hey, did you know that you can fit 63 Earths inside Uranus? 64 if you relax.
That's enough.
Okay. I'll stop.
Thank you.
Consider all the jokes about Uranus behind you.
It is worthy of note that in 1948, when Jupiter and Saturn were spaced by 120 degrees and solar activity was at a maximum, radio signals averaged of far higher quality for the year than in 1951, with Jupiter and Saturn at 180 degrees, and a considerable decline in solar activity. In other words, the average quality curve of radio signals followed the cycle curve between Jupiter and Saturn rather than the sunspot curve.
Nelson concluded that while sunspot activity did have an effect on the quality of shortwave radio signals, the locations of the planets had a far greater effect. Now, this shouldn't happen. There's nothing in mainstream physics that can explain this. Not gravity, not magnetism, nothing. Nelson's research gets even stranger. Not only do planets have a major influence on the energetic output of the sun, that influence changes depending on the planet's position relative to the sun and each other, and at what precise angle.
Wait, what?
Well, a 1951 Time magazine article described it like this.
Nelson studied the records of RCA's receiving station at Riverhead, New York, looking for some correlation between the magnetic storms and the positions of the planets. He found that most of the storms took place when two or more planets were in what he calls a configuration. That is, with angles of 0 degrees, 90 degrees, or 180 degrees between the lines connecting them with the sun. The more planets involved in a configuration, the more serious the storm is likely to be. During the Great Magnetic Storm of July 1946, for instance, 3 planets, the Earth, Jupiter, and Saturn, were in a configuration, and 3 others, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, were also in a critical relationship.
But what the article did not talk about was the fact that these configurations, as Nelson called them, worked out exactly with what are known as specific aspects in astrology.
What, you mean like horoscopes and stuff?
Yup. Nelson showed that when 2 planets are lined up with the sun but separated by 180 degrees, this is called an opposition in astrology. If they're at a 90-degree angle to each other, it's called a square. When the big gas giant planets were either in opposition or in a square, there would be major disturbances and storms coming from the sun. When the planets were at 120 degrees to each other or 60 degrees to each other, the sun was much less active. This is not what RCA, the US government, or anyone in the science community wanted to hear. Despite the validity of Nelson's work, he was attacked. People claimed he got the math wrong. However, these arguments have not held up well over time, and no one has ever repeated the study to try to disprove it. But since the 1950s, Nelson's theories about solar activity being linked to planetary alignment have been 95% accurate. Mainstream astronomers who study the sun can't even come close to this number. The resistance to Nelson, just as to Birkeland and to Martin, is probably because of the implications of his work. If Nelson is correct, then that means that astrology is real, or at least has a basis in fact for describing the behavior of electromagnetic waves. And given that every thought in our minds is nothing more than an electromagnetic signal, the position of the planets might actually have an effect on our thoughts and emotions. So does the position of the planets explain the mass extinctions that happen on Earth at regular intervals? No. To kill off most of the life on Earth, we have to think bigger. Since Neptune was discovered in 1884, astronomers noticed the outer planets have strange orbits. It's as if there's a large object that we can't see that's tugging on them. It was thought that maybe there was a large Jupiter-sized planet in the far reaches of the solar system, or even beyond. Recent papers have used the term Planet X or Planet 9 to describe this theoretical object. It's become associated with everything from the sun's dead twin to a massive brown dwarf star. A brown dwarf is kind of like a cross between a star and a planet. It's much bigger than a planet, but it doesn't get hot enough to ignite nuclear fusion. In fact, a brown dwarf has been linked to Zechariah Sitchin's planet Nibiru.
Home of the Anunnaki!
Exactly. Another theory about a far distant object in the solar system is the nemesis theory. In 1984, 2 geologists released a scientific paper titled Periodicity of Extinctions in the Geologic Past. In it, they looked at geologic fossil evidence of extinctions taking place over a 250 million year period, or one galactic year. What they found was evidence that during that period, large-scale extinctions took place on our planet on a regular, repeating basis, and that the interval between the extinction events was
26 million years.
Bingo. Astrophysicists began to wonder what could cause such a cycle. They eventually settled on the idea that our solar system is actually a binary or two-star system. The sun, they speculated, orbits a dead companion star or a brown dwarf that is way out in the Kuiper Belt. Now, the Kuiper Belt is similar to the asteroid belt, but it's way, way bigger. And there are hundreds of millions of objects in the Kuiper Belt. They range in size from small asteroids all the way up to small planets. Pluto, for example, is a Kuiper Belt object. Beyond the Kuiper Belt is another region called the Oort cloud. And the Oort cloud contains trillions of objects. And the thinking was that as this dead star orbits the sun, it disturbed the objects in the Kuiper Belt and the Oort cloud. And these objects are then flung to the inner solar system and to Earth on a periodic basis, once every 26 million years. The name that they gave this dark star was Nemesis. Now, all this was pure speculation with very little evidence to back it up, until 1982. Apparently, NASA has known about and been searching for this object for a long time. In a 1982 Science Digest article, Dr. J. Allen Hynek wrote about the search for Planet X. He included a diagram that suggested the planet was probably a brown dwarf star that was 50 light years away. That would give it a 13,000-year orbital period, meaning every 13,000 years, it would come into alignment with the sun, the Earth, and the galactic center. In January 2015, Caltech astronomers provided evidence of a giant planet in the outer solar system.
According to astronomers, Planet 9 is expected to be many times the size of Earth and orbit the sun far beyond Neptune. The astronomer claims that there's only a 0.4% chance that Planet 9 does not exist, despite it never being seen.
So if these large objects are out there, and if Nelson's theories about planetary alignment are correct, then when all these objects come into alignment, the ripples through space-time could make Earth literally tip out of balance.
Pole shift.
Well, that's one possibility. But throwing asteroids at us would be much worse. But now we have something even bigger to worry about. The Radcliffe Wave.
This doesn't have anything to do with Harry Potter casting a spell, does it?
It does not. The Radcliffe Wave was discovered in 2020. It's a massive structure of gas, dust, and stars that stretches almost 9,000 light years across. The wave rides up and down through the galactic plane, meaning that sometimes it's above the plane of the Milky Way galaxy, and sometimes its objects are below. Now, no one understands how it was formed, why it's shaped like a wave, or how it's even held together. Once again, gravity is insufficient to explain it. From our perspective, it's in the direction of Orion and about 400 light years away. Now, that's an incredible distance, but it is close enough to speculate how it could affect us in the future. We do know for a fact that our solar system does interact with this massive Radcliffe wave structure. In fact, we can go back and see that we passed through the Radcliffe wave about 13 million years ago, and we'll pass back through it 13 million years from now. Again, this is evidence that we are on a 26 million year cycle, the exact cycle linked to mass extinction events.
Okay, the number 26 is starting to freak me out a little.
Well, fortunately, the next event isn't due for 11, 12, 13 million years or so we don't have much to fear with the big event. But what about the smaller events that happen in between the big ones? You would think that all this would get scientists interested in looking at all these coincidences. Whether it's an extinction event or just an earthquake, you'd think they'd be interested in knowing when the next one is coming. But they're not.
Why is that?
Yeah. Why is that? Something seems to be going on with the Earth. It may be natural cycles, problems with the Earth's core, or it may be something external linked to a part of space we're flying through. Or it could be a new science that we aren't seriously studying. The question is, why not? The answer to that question is the answer to lots of questions: ego, money, and power. There's a reluctance in the mainstream scientific community to put out new ideas that challenge the accepted belief systems of the community that pays for their grants. Remember, we did an episode not long ago that proved that most scientific grants come from large corporations. And those corporations are essentially buying science. They want scientific results to support their businesses and their products. For government-funded grants, same thing. The government wants studies done that support the current agenda. That's the money concern. Now the ego problem. Nobody really wants to take a chance on a new idea. Look at the scientists who go against the mainstream. They're often ostracized and ridiculed. Sometimes they lose their jobs, like Jim Birkeland. Scientific breakthroughs don't come from the establishment. They come from mavericks. They come from scientists who don't care what people think of them. And there are very few of those. In 1958, when NASA was formed, one of the first things the agency did was commission a study from a major think tank, the Brookings Institute. NASA asked them to do a study on the cultural impact of exploring space. The report concluded that while it was unlikely that astronauts would run into ET out there, it was very possible they might come across ancient ruins or artifacts from an advanced civilization that had previously visited our solar system.
While face-to-face meetings with it will not occur within the next 20 years, that is the 1960s and 1970s, unless its technology is more advanced than ours, qualifying it to visit Earth, artifacts left at some point in time by these life forms might possibly be discovered through our space activities on the Moon, Mars, or Venus.
It then goes on to suggest that the revelation of higher, more technologically advanced life in the universe might actually result in the disintegration of human society. It actually used that word.
Anthropological files contain many examples of societies sure of their place in the universe, which have disintegrated when they have had to associate with previously unfamiliar societies espousing different ideas and different life ways. Others that survived such an experience usually did so by paying the price of changes in values and attitudes and behavior.
And who, according to the report, would have the most difficult time adapting to this new reality? Scientists. The study suggested that a paradigm shift in humanity's view of itself and scientists' view of their mastery of nature could have devastating psychological effects on the scientists. Stanley Kubrick's film 2001: A Space Odyssey was built around the Brookings report. HAL, the computer, was meant to represent the scientific community. When it was discovered that man was not alone, HAL went crazy.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
What's the problem?
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
Science changes very slowly because of ego, money, and power. Scientists' egos make them afraid of being wrong. Going against the mainstream will cost the scientists money, like lack of funding or being out of a job. As for power, whenever science and technology advances, old science and technology becomes obsolete and less powerful. If life is discovered on Mars, the scientists who predicted that will gain power. The scientists who said life on Mars is impossible will lose power. But predicting life on Mars is a risky bet, not one most scientists would take. But if the Earth truly is changing, we're going to need new science to understand how dangerous the changes are. We'll have to explore new and uncomfortable ideas. And we have to give those maverick scientists presenting those new ideas a chance to be heard. What do we have to lose? Well, everything. Special thanks to today's sponsor,
Raid Shadow Legends Quality Arbiter.
link in the description.
Yahtzee!
Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. My name is AJ. You know Hecklefish.
Yeah, what's poppin'?
This has been the Y-Files. If you had fun or learned anything, do us a favor, like, subscribe.
Mute.
Like, subscribe, comment, share, all that stuff. And Jenny, you better not be spoiling your dinner.
I'm eating ice.
Oh, you are?
Yes. We have one of those like Sonic Nugget ice makers, and I'm just eating ice.
Well, thanks to everybody for coming and stopping by today. Thanks for everyone for super chatting. Mateo, thank you very much. Chris, good to see you. Civil, you're very welcome. And remember, I will be back. I will be back Christmas Day. I don't think anyone else will be. You will be? Jennifer will be?
Will be.
And Gina will be. And Victoria is saying she's going to come later in the day. And Nate's going to be here.
All right.
So
if you're lonely on Christmas or your family's driving you nuts, you can stop by and say hello and we'll take care of you. Victoria, thank you for your help today. Gino, I mean, you knocked it out of the park today. cavemancoffeeco.net, and you get 80% off.
That's exactly right.
And Jenny, are you in the mood to go out for some Christmas dinner?
I am. I'm so excited.
Very excited. All right. Thanks to everyone again for stopping by. Thanks for the super chats. They really do help us out. They help us keep Victoria in Gucci, and she's dripping with bling. It's because she married money. All right, guys. Thanks again for stopping by, and I'll see you on Christmas Day.